Welcome, everybody, to the Making Awesome podcast. This is episode 231. We're talking about AI because, firmly, this could change 3D printing and will definitely have some sort of impact on the industry as a whole. But realistically, I'm not so certain that AI is what people think it really is, right? AI is complicated. Quite frankly, it's a buzzword. We're going to get into that. Before we get too deep into it, happy Father's Day in the US and the UK. So, happy Father's Day, Dad. Say happy Father's Day to your dad, too.
It is Father's Day in the UK as well, so...
I know. Say happy Father's Day to your dad, too.
He's getting his presents after this.
Say it on the stream, Jacob!
Happy Father's Day, Dad.
God, I'm so glad he didn't just say, like, happy Father's Day, Daddy. That would be such a weird thing to say. But not off-brand for this. Don't you do it.
Daddy.
Yeah, well, for all of you that really like Brits, there you go. For the 3 female viewers we likely have. And for all of you that enjoy a British gentleman, enjoy it. But yeah, so as we're hanging out here, we're live on YouTube, obviously. If you're listening back to this audio only, or, you know, Spotify later on, whatever, you've missed out on all the fun. Join us. My voice is kind of messed up today, isn't it? Join
You're
us.
really not sounding great.
It's like right back here. I feel fine. Whatever. Join us
Have you got a
live.
drink?
Yeah, I had some water earlier.
Got your branded drink?
I don't have my Bondtech water bottle handy. I have a different one, but of course it's empty. But yeah, join us live pretty much every Sunday at noon Eastern, 5 p.m. British Standard Time, and talk about crazy stuff. So, and this will be the last time that we mention it, but we are looking for editors. So if you have the ability to do video editing, audio editing, if you have copywriting skills, Photoshop skills, stuff like that, all into one package, and potentially you are passionate about 3D printing, we'd love for you to submit a resume or a CV to us. You can do that with the information in the description. This will be the last time that we mention it. We've gotten some really good submissions so far, but I've delayed them long enough. We have to move into second round here relatively soon. So if you do want to get, you know, in that first round, hit us up. You got a couple of days before we're going to go ahead and kind of call the submissions where they are.
Yep.
Don't forget, streams are coming to you ad-free. We're going to go ahead and throw the goal up in YouTube. So if you do want to, you know, help out the show, help keep it ad-free, it's what it's here for. So, yeah. Like, subscribe, all those things. Let's dive into it, dude, because AI is kind of a buzzword. This episode is going to be
a bit spicy. It's going to be spicy because I have some very, let's say, they're not contrarian views, but they are against what a lot of people assume the stance I should take. So for everyone who hasn't seen me talk before, I talk way too much. But part of my background is I actually did AI development. And that, I like to think, has given me a unique insight into a lot of the buzzwords that are going around, because there are a lot of them, and also a lot of the things people claim as AI, which is actually just very fancy if statements repeated over and over again, which isn't AI. So that I've got a couple of hot, spicy takes that is coming up. And I've just seen that Steve Builds has once again sent 10 memberships to... Wow, that is actually quite a lot of people this time. So we've got Winslow Joy, Jimmy Johansson,
Steve Because it's 10 memberships.
Yeah, it's 10, yeah, oh, shut... Look, you can tell I've had no caffeine today. I've just come home from eating a really nice big lunch. And I'm just there like, yes, I want to sleep right now.
Oh, man, you got the itis?
I've got it.
Got the itis. Bad. Oh, yeah, the itis is good.
David Konishova with the $10. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And for those of you that don't know, if you hang out with us all the way through, We go and send you to hang out with Mr. Steve Builds as soon as we're done. And that will be, I think he's doing number 4 on the Core 1 conversion. So it's stream 4 to convert the Core 1. At some point, I have to follow in Steve's footsteps and install the cat cam so that we can have Victoria on all the streams. Because he's the smart one here. I am very much not the smart one. But, yeah. So, Jacob actually has a background and experience in all of this. I don't. I'm just opinionated. So my background, for those that don't know, I don't know if I talk about my background very much. But I have 2 business degrees from St. Leo University, graduated in 2012 and 2014. If anyone cares to do that math, I'm 35 years old. And yeah, AI, LLM wasn't really a thing. I'm sure now, if you are taking college or any classes for that matter, AI is up there. But for me, right, I really kind of detest the way that AI has been pushed on the general public. I feel as though AI is a crappy buzzword for just a complicated computer program that instead of calling it what it is, which is an LLM, right, a large language model, you're calling it an AI, which an AI should be something that simulates human intelligence, and this doesn't. It gives you an answer based upon trained data sets. It is not able to think and make decisions and things for itself. That is, it upsets me, but I will move past it because I know if I am persnickety this entire show, it's going to make it upsetting. But note, anytime we say AI, the desire for me to say LLM, like literally I screwed up saying that, is so high that I'm dying a little bit on the inside.
I mean, I'm already dying a bit on the inside because LLMs are just one type of AI. So there's loads of types. You've got diffusion models, obviously you've got LLMs, you've got computational networks. A lot of what people claim as AI, however, is really just smart math that they just put the AI tag on to mean the computer did something without you realizing how it did it. So just keep everything that, especially Grant says, with a grain of salt.
Yes.
Because AI is complex. And even my data, which I like to stay up to date with a lot of the news, is out of date. So I think there's a really good paper, and I do say good asterisk, that Apple just came out with, which was basic. I'm trying to remember the title. It was like AI can't think, or AI can't process data. I'll actually get the name of the paper up. Apple AI paper. The Illusion of Thinking. There we go. And
that's a great title.
It's
Damn it, that's
title.
a great title. That should have been a much better title for this show. The Illusion of Thinking. No, wait. That's really just the title of this whole podcast. The Illusion of Thinking. Grant and Jacob talk about things.
The only thing we really think about is food. Printers just get mixed in there sometimes.
It's true. Real quick, because we got a bunch of donations and stuff. David Connor Shover with the $10. Shane Christensen, basic support. Winslow Joy with the $10 for the ad-free streams. Shane Christensen again with a 20. Thank you, sir. Happy Father's Day. And since I know we're going to talk about it, YGK is in here saying he just dropped a video on this exact topic. Jacob knows. I haven't watched it yet. I deliberately haven't watched it yet because Jacob is going to describe it and then I'm going to react to it. Because I'm like, one, I don't really want a lot of my opinions on all of this to be adjusted because of other creators. But two, we had discussed doing an AI show. I said, oh yeah, I'm not going to watch this right now. I want to be kind of raw on the subject. Shane says it was a good video from YGK. Of course it was. It's YGK 3D. Like, of course it was a good video. Yeah. Oh, and we had a question. Patrick Maygotter maybe said, "Can you explain what the 3D Musketeers business is?" Yeah, I feel like we don't talk a lot about what 3DM is and does and like what our core is.
Because there's a
But
lot of facets that aren't obvious just from the YouTube side.
yeah, that's fair. And we don't always show you guys behind the curtains too much. Honestly, because I can't a lot of the time. But 3D Musketeers as a business, this is year 10 for us. Year 5 on YouTube, year 10 for business itself. But we are a 3D printing, 3D scanning, CAD, reverse engineering, yada yada service bureau. So we make parts for people ranging from the Smithsonian to Snoop Dogg. Our clients literally range from the Smithsonian to Snoop Dogg and everywhere in between. From your very basic, simple one-off parts to large production runs with customers, from 3D scanning with generic scanners all the way up into like, I have an Artec Ray. It's a $60,000+ 3D scanner. That is the kind of stuff that we do here. So, yeah. We've done some videos on it, but yeah, I don't
It's
talk about
something
it too
you don't
much.
normally talk about. It's like you get used to how cool the stuff you do is, and then you just skip it, and then nobody ever finds out because you just it's always around you, so you get used to it.
But like, I often can't talk about it because a lot of the work that we do is NDA, ITAR, or otherwise. So, and like the stuff that we can talk about is
Mm.
often not cool enough. So, like, there
Yep.
is an upcoming project that we have. We're working with we're going to see if we can work with them. But so far, they haven't told me I can't talk about it. So I'm going to talk about it until they tell me I can't. But it is a company that does custom fit hearing protection.
Mm. Well,
But
that's neat.
but what they do that is unique is that they custom fit it to pre-existing earbuds. So let's say you really like the Apple ones, right?
Mm.
The AirPods.
Yep.
They have 3D models of AirPods. They do the impression of your ear. That gets 3D scanned. They join the two together and they make it so the audio can still pipe through so that you have really, really good passive noise suppression for the outside world. Their business case, for the most part, is in the firearms industry. So you can go to the range, have music in, and it's not offensive. But I look at it as, other things like concerts, day to day life. I know there's a lot of you that tend to get a little bit overwhelmed with just people. So I think it's a very valuable thing to have. And if all goes well, we're going to be doing some of my ears, and theoretically, we're going to be filming that entire process for you all.
Oh, that'd
So
be
it
so
should be
neat.
fun.
Hell
Uh,
yeah.
but yeah. So yeah, we don't talk too much about it because like all the cool stuff we do right now, all of the fun stuff that we do right now, completely NDA'd. But yes, if you guys haven't seen YGK's video, can Ahmad throw that link in the chat? Just open it in a new tab, please, and thank you. Yeah, if you haven't seen YGK's video, go watch it.
Yeah, just load it up on a separate tab. Don't click away from this though.
Yeah,
But load it up on a separate
because
tab, mute it, put it in the background, leave it on loop. Just leave it on loop.
YGK's got the same problem that we do. It's like, thanks to anyone who watched it. Always disappointing when the algorithm buries a video, but glad a few people enjoyed it at least. Yeah, like, dude, that's the heart-wrenching part of content creation. It's like, I put a lot of effort into this video, and then the algorithm's like, you get nothing.
Yep.
Yeah,
Like
and
it's a shame because that video was also very good,
mhm.
and it was why we were already considering doing an AI podcast like topic even before the video launched. Is one of my very big strong points is AI is going to change the 3D printing industry probably the most. Out of all of the manufacturing industries that will be hit by AI, 3D printing will succeed when it hits, whereas a lot of the other manufacturing industries will either be unaffected or crushed because it's that important to stay with that technology. Think of it this way: if AI gives free labor. How do you utilize that labor in a positive output? And in this case, AI is probably going to hit the design side first, or at least the control side first. And if a injection molding company doesn't realize they're going to be now given 5 million injection molds to make because AI can pump them out at increasingly good quality, they're not going to be able to capitalize on the manufacturing flexibility, which is infinite design. However, 3D printing can. And that is where I really do see this industry thriving in the coming years, whereas others might end up shrinking.
We're seeing AI being implemented in business quite a bit. Companies that are removing their entire customer support divisions in favor of AI chatbots, and with varying levels of success. Some companies are incredibly successful at this, but quite a few of them are having like major walkbacks that are occurring because they're realizing that no matter how much you really train it, it's not going to often provide the same level of comfort, I guess, that a regular person can do, right? You're literally missing the thing that makes human-based customer support valuable, the human. Now, as a business myself, I certainly see the value to AI chatbots, but I think it makes the most sense on like a first level, very granular thing. And then there should be like a thing like, okay, they've gone too far into this chatbot. Like, if you're doing more than 5 or 6 things in an AI chatbot, it's time for you to go to a human, right? That's where I think that a lot of companies are failing. They're just straight out replacing it rather than using it as an augmentation process. Certainly, they could use an AI chatbot internally for their human-based customer support to enable them to get the answers faster that customers are asking them and enable them to not stay on a script constantly. But, you know.
See, so that's the key thing is I don't class script-based chatbots as AI. Those are if statements. If customer said certain word, give certain response. That's not AI because there's no
That's just conditional
variation
reporting.
allowed.
Is that?
Yeah, that is
Okay.
like what a lot of companies called AI in the past, when in reality it's just fancy if statements pretending to be a human. And that is one of the big differences between modern day AI and yesteryear AI. A chatbot is, ignore ChatGPT for when I say chatbot. When I say chatbot, I do mean the conditional, they said this, give this response. That is conditional programming. That is the definition of conditional programming. Somebody sat down, said, if they said these words, give this response, give this tree of responses, depending on what they said above. And while it can get complex and get very smart, it's not, it, I don't want to say thinking, but it's not thinking and generating a response. And that's the big difference between true AI, no matter its complexity and its efficiency, versus fake AI. Is AI has to generate something. It cannot pull from a source. It has to pull it from itself. Whereas conditional trees, it's not generating anything, it's reading. And that is a big difference between one and the other. LLMs, just for reference, they generate answers. They do not look up answers. And it's actually easier to think of an LLM as a statistics machine.
Okay.
If you give LLM math, for example, you will be surprised how bad the math is. Like, even nowadays, like you use the brand new ChatGPT, like O3 that has just come out. It's crap. It doesn't work. And that's because LLMs don't do math. They don't do cognitive reasoning. They don't do these sort of things. They are statistics. And actually, if you break it down further, you can actually graph everything into very nice visual graphs. But the long story short is, if you give it a big multiplication number and another big multiplication number, the bigger the number, the worse the math becomes. And it will get roughly in the ballpark, but it will just be wrong. And that's because it's generating an answer, and the more complex something is, the harder the generation becomes. And that is the big difference.
Okay.
And that's also why AI can hallucinate. is it's statistically trying to
Yeah.
give you the closest answer. But that doesn't mean it will always give you the same answer. So again, if you gave ChatGPT the same question 10 times, you will get 10 different answers. They might be formatted different, the end result might be the same, but sometimes they might be completely wrong. And that is the big difference between AI, where it's actually generating a response, versus a lookup table, which is yesteryear chatbots. Think like the Amazon helpline chatbot. You said shipping bad, it saw the word shipping, gave you the shipping response.
Okay.
That's not generating a response. That's just giving you a bunch of text on a keyword. So that is one very good way to look at LLM AI versus chatbots.
Yeah, I know as a company as 3D Musketeers, we have looked at using LLM and AI and all that, but we found it nowhere near as effective. Now, to be clear, I feel like that's more due to our level of implementation, our level of understanding, and our level of desire for it to function. So like the intros to Print Fix Friday, I I have a whole thing that I've built in ChatGPT where I give it the thing and then it gives me the response in an alliterative thing. So, here I'm gonna pull one up, and like that's what I've enjoyed.
Okay, we still got my master stream. Let's go.
Yep, my master's still working. Sorry, we're back.
It's not an LTT stream without technical difficulties.
No, no. My computer really runs like pretty close to the edge when we're doing these shows, and apparently we found the edge. So,
That
sorry.
is getting clipped.
The the almost 100 people that left us. Thanks. Thanks for that. That's life. Thankfully, my face cam seems to still function, so at least there's that. Oh no, my face cam died too. Damn it.
I mean, the stream looks fine. That's what matters.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, OBS, both of the OBS instances got angry. Cool.
Oh. You never know, it might be forced upgrade time.
I can't afford that, so we're not doing that. Basically is how that goes. So. All right. Now we're back. Let me see. Yeah, Google Chrome is using quite a bit of resources right now. Anyways, all right. Back on subject, because, you know, life happens sometimes. Your face cam works on stream. Yes, it does. So for those that don't know, since we are actively searching for an editor and editors for the show, we are actively recording our face cams separately,
yep,
so that we have full resolution face cam stuff. So,
yep. So for example, I'm recording me. Grant is recording his side of me. I'm recording my face separately, as well as the stream that I send to Grant, so I can do funny, cool things like this. And then you get that and my face in full resolution, so you can switch between for easy editing. Because more content available at the hands of the editor means if one thing buggers up, the other thing is completely fine. And then they have flexibility.
yep.
Downside, the PC hates me for it.
Yeah, my 10700K is running at about 50% utilization right now. 1080 Ti is only at 40% utilization, so there's that.
Mine is at 60% utilization on my graphics card. And that's a 3090, so it's chugging out quite a lot.
Well, you
of
also
heat.
have 6
And
monitors running, so there's that.
You'll be surprised, the performance hit of a monitor isn't that much. And I'm only using about 20% of my CPU.
So I'm not going to go ahead and do a live chat GPT thing, so we're just going to move past that part. And
Why not? It doesn't use your PC as compute.
I know,
It's
but
smoke and mirrors.
apparently just going to it upset OBS enough to say I'm out. So we're not going to do that again. I'm going to just go back on a topic here of AI versus LLM. Why do you think that the buzzword of AI has become such a thing?
So I saw the trend happening, and it is very disingenuous. The main differentiate, I can never say the word, differentiator.
Differentiator.
There we go. The main reason it became popular to say things as AI was actually the success of ChatGPT. So ChatGPT hit the scene very hard when GPT-3 hit, and there was not a lot of awareness of what AI actually was in terms of the computational requirements and the thought process that goes into producing an output, like the token input, token output. All people really knew is you've got AI art models and AI text models, and all of a sudden they've appeared on the scene and they look like the next generation of industry.
Right.
And then other companies will come along going, oh yeah, we've got AI as well, so we're going to put the AI tab on. And then a lot of the times it was just flow trees. It wasn't actually expensive AI because they haven't done it. They've just done lower level machine learning programs. And I do stand on that hill of machine learning. While it is an AI program, it is not AI. It's just been trained to do a thing, and it's just a bit of complex code.
I think the way
And that
that
is the big difference.
the way that AI has been used in hiring to me is like the most upsetting part of it, where instead of a human going through resumes, they're using an AI to quickly sort resumes based on good versus bad qualifications. And like, let's say you're not immediately qualified, and I'm going to use this as a bit of a way to advertise once again that we are hiring editors. But let's say you're not fully qualified to do the job, but you are heavily motivated, you're passionate, you've got all the right personal skills. You're just missing the hard skill. You've got all the soft skills, you're missing the hard skill. Well, the hard skill you can learn. And often the people that don't possess the hard skills, but have the soft skills and the desire to learn, are so much more valuable to a business, especially a smaller business, than those that have all the hard skills, but none of the soft skills. Because the way I look at a resume, and like anyone that submits a resume, no, I'm going to read it, but I'm often going to ignore a lot of what you put in there. Because a resume is just a professional Tinder profile. It is all that you want us to see and nothing that you don't want us to see. That is all a resume is. And that's okay. But if you as someone that's hiring don't understand that, well, I've got some really funny things in my resume, like I was Time Magazine's Person of the Year, was it 2007 or 2008?
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that. No, you've never brought it up before.
Yeah. Look it up.
So yeah, sorry, I'm just going to go back to all my old Time magazines that I obviously collect and just go, oh, look, it's Grant. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. You need to tell me these things.
This is funny because Jacob doesn't know that it was either 2007 or 2008 where Time Magazine's Person of the Year was you.
I've been bamboozled.
You've been
You got me.
bamboozled, but it's not technically incorrect.
Look, I've met somebody that has been on the front page of Time magazine, so I don't even question it anymore.
Unfortunately, I have too.
See, mine was really cool.
Yeah, sometimes they're not on there for the right reasons.
I think yours probably wasn't.
Sometimes they're not on there for the right reasons. We'll just leave it at that. But, you know, I have on there that I led a nonprofit fundraising by building a 6 gigawatt electromagnetic impulse generator that took a quarter and shrunk it to the size of a dime using only electromagnetism, and then sold it for fundraising. Did that. That's on there. Like, I put things on my resume that make you go, what the actual hell? I just need to meet this person.
Mm.
And if you're a regular person that's reading it, you're going to enjoy it. If you're an AI that's reading it, this doesn't mean anything. It has no value to the actual job. Maybe that's why I just have my own business now. I don't know. But now my resume just looks so
even
different.
now, I think AI based recruitment. I don't even class that as AI because it is kind of just a lookup table. It's did they say anything in this list of acceptable terms? Yay, nay. If it's nay, get rid of. And I wouldn't class that as AI because it's
like
too. Now they could be programs that is generating the output from reading it and saying if they are a good fit or not. But in reality, they are most of them are probably just binary yes no checkers based on text input, and that isn't AI. It just looks like AI because it's getting an output from a load of input, but that is just where it's a flow tree, and flow trees are not AI.
And
that's like saying video game AI for characters is AI. It's not. It's flow trees. It's programmed responses based around a set of inputs. That isn't real AI just because it's slightly out of the realm of you don't know what response they will give because the programmer programmed it to do a thing.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with that intrinsically, right? Like, if you're using an ability to say, okay, these people possess all the skills these people don't, but I don't want to immediately throw them out. And I get for bigger businesses where they're going to get 10,000 applications for a job, you have to have some way to kick some of these out because otherwise your days will be spent doing it. When we first were hiring video editors way back in the day, I put $300 into LinkedIn ads for the position, and we got
that's a bit rich.
Yeah, it was a mistake. We got like 600 applications. Actually, the thing that pissed me off the most were the people that would apply. If I read through their resume really quick, I liked it, I would send them a link to book time in my calendar. They would book that time and then they wouldn't show up. To be clear, if you do that and you have references on your resume, I'm going to take the time that you're not here to call those references and ask them if they're okay being a reference to someone who no calls and no shows to an interview. Because that is unreasonably unprofessional. Okay? Like, if you took the time to book time in my calendar, even if it's for 5 minutes, come and say, hey, just so you know, I took another job. Thanks, but I'm good. Or cancel it before the interview time. The amount of people that no called, no showed that also had references that I called, it's more than 10. I got petty because you're wasting my time. And like, I don't know if there's an issue. And anyone that has interviewed with me, so if you've submitted a resume, every single person so far that has submitted a resume for the video editor position has gotten an interview. To be clear, every single one of them. I care more about soft skills than hard skills, so that's more that I care about. But every single one of them will likely tell you that it is the most unique interview experience that you get, because it's not a traditional interview. It is a conversation where I will kind of dig in and learn more about who you are. One of the questions that we ask during an interview is, are there any reasons that you would be potentially not allowed to do this job? Now, for a video editor, that's never really something that comes up, right? Even if you have a record, I don't really care. But for our engineering positions, it does come up. You have to be able to pass a level 2 federal background check here in the United States. We had one individual say, yes, actually, I am in the midst of a court case that if I'm found guilty would mean I couldn't do the job. And before I could even ask about what it was, he just told me. It was for possession with intent to distribute of booger sugar. Not
Ooh.
the devil's lettuce, no sir, of booger
To be
sugar.
fair, that's how you know they're a good engineer.
I asked
Gotta get those production numbers up.
I asked the curious question, so how much were you caught with? Cause like, that's a legitimate question. 2.5 kilos. That's not for personal use.
I bet he was fun at parties.
Probably was. And
Oh.
I am like flabbergasted. And he realizes then what he just told me. He's like, I think you're about to tell me this interview is coming to an end. I said, what would ever make you determine that? You know, Stephen Jones calls it creativity powder. Jesus. It's too expensive for me, sorry. But like,
No, that's why you needed to hire him. You could have got it on the cheap.
but like here's
Friends
the
and
thing.
family discount.
On paper, this person was a perfect hire. On paper, absolutely perfect. Had every skill set we were looking for, had the background we were looking for. On their first interview, had all the soft skills that I was looking for too. The second interview, I found out things. Now, I never followed up to see if he beat the charges or not, but that's a lot. Okay? And that alone
So all
is
I'm
like,
getting from this is don't apply for a job with you if you kick puppies or are an international drug smuggler.
though those would be two disqualifiers. Yes, though those would be
There we go.
two disqualifiers. But like, this is one of those cases where, like, on paper the person was perfect. Had an AI been looking at this resume, almost guaranteed they were getting on to the second level, right? But I've never been asked in an interview, is there anything that would disqualify you from this position? I've never been asked that. I asked that because I care, right? I ultimately look at what matters when it comes to hiring, right? Hiring matters. And I see that there's someone telling me that I'm part of the problem, and I'm getting distracted by this. Nick T says, you're part of the problem, Grant. If one has served their time, one shouldn't still pay for it. I don't disagree with you.
I think it's a bit different in the example you gave, which is they haven't served.
They hadn't
yet
served their
because
time. No,
they haven't been proven guilty, and I still stand by it is you have to.
They were innocent
prove
until
guilt
proven
before you treat
guilty.
them differently. Yeah, they're innocent.
However, you were
But-
caught with 2.5 kilograms of cocaine. Okay.
Yeah, from a business perspective, you don't generally want to hire someone.
Yeah,
where
that's
in
enough
a
of a
2 weeks'
risk.
time they might just disappear.
Well, even if they beat the charges, right? The company that you keep is a bit of a problem. Now, also, we operate in ITAR and CMMC. You can't have a arrest, let alone a conviction for something like that, and be qualified to do the work. We will lose contracts because of that. So, regardless if I'm okay with it, the government isn't. Now, the government is technically okay with possession charges. Or sorry, no, wrong way around. They are not okay with possession charges, even without the intent to distribute. They don't care about that. If you are caught with even a little bit of the devil's lettuce, even if it is in a legal state, and you're caught by the feds, you are disqualified from doing government. You can, however, have a domestic violence on your record, and it's totally fine for the US government. And if that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what does. So it's not particularly my decision. We have a general policy at 3D Musketeers is we don't drug test. It's not our job. But I don't want to hear you take a nasty bong rip on a company call. I feel like that's a totally honest thing. But if you tell me that you were in possession of 2.5 kilograms of a very, very illegal substance, I think that's okay to disqualify someone who has not already done their time. I do believe that, yes, if someone has done their time, they're on the other end of it. Yeah, totally fair. But they were still in an active court case. So, yeah.
Fun.
Anyways. Sorry, that
Back
just
to
that upset
the tangent
me
stream
because
where we tangent very tangentially.
I'm not part of the problem. I'm not part of the problem. I give people way more chances than most ever will. And the bulk of our staff can verify that. I believe that we are part of the solution. Right? We want to give people second chances, people that might not even deserve it. We want to give them second chances. And it's why, hilariously, one of the most unqualified people on paper for this editing job, who I'm positive is going to hear this, is in my top 3.
Oh.
So, we've only gotten 5 resumes to date. But one of the most unqualified on paper is in my top 3 simply because of their soft skills and their desire to learn. So that, like,
I will say, for me personally,
I'm now upset by this. But
your CV opens a door. That door was already very easy to open. It literally, if your CV just doesn't say I kick puppies and shoot the homeless people for fun, you're pretty much guaranteed an interview with me at this stage.
Yeah.
Because unless it's literally you did it in MS Paint, actually, I take that back. If you gave me a CV made in MS Paint, it doesn't matter what it says on it. You're getting an interview either way.
As long as it's legible. But I don't want it to be typed out. You need to hand draw.
You need to handwrite everything.
Yeah, every letter has to be
here. I saved you the red crayon type piece of paper.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all a CV is to me, because at the end of the day, CVs are one of those things that I'm probably seeing the most amount of low-level AI used in it.
Oh my god,
where
yes.
Somebody will write a CV and they'll just ask ChatGPT to be like, hey, can we spoof it up a bit? Can we get rid of any spelling mistakes, make it more legible? And that's not a bad thing. So if anyone does think, oh, they spot that, so I spot that immediately. Of course I spot that immediately. It's my job to spot AI, but I don't hold it against the CV. And that's a really big, important thing I want to get forward, especially for anyone applying for the 3D Musketeers positions.
We've noticed
I know if you've used an AI or not.
At least 3 of you have. We know that for sure, because there are things that ChatGPT and the AIs do that regular people don't do, and it's like,
don't say it, because that's my little
I'm not gonna say it, but we know it, and in the second interview I am gonna call you out, and Jacob's gonna be in those too, theoretically, but in the second interview we're going to ask you, and if you lie, that will disqualify you. Because if you can't be honest with us.
I also want to know how you used it, where you used it, because it shows that you're able to use other tools.
Yeah.
It's not a negative in the same way that it's like, oh, I didn't write the CV. I don't care if you wrote your own CV or not. I just care if it's accurate.
Dude, I'm so unreasonably, I'm so unreasonably uneloquent. Like, my CV would be like, I do things, hire me, because I'm not a piece of crap here. Right? Like, but I have absolutely used ChatGPT to help clean mine up, especially when it comes to sentence structure, punctuation, grammar, that kind of stuff. Like, how to make it more readable to someone who's skimming. That kind of stuff is so incredibly valuable. But if you take its advice and apply it, rather than saying, fix it for me, I think it becomes a better overall situation. That's what I did with mine. But I'm also, like, when I go and apply for jobs here and there, and I do it with, like, when companies reach out and say, hey, we'd like you to consider working with us on this. And I'm like, what's the salary compensation? They say this. I'm like, okay, here you go. I want to make sure that it's, somewhat designed for that company. That's fair. There's nothing wrong with that. That's honest. And honesty, I think, is where it belongs. But if you're relying on it as a crutch, right, because you're unwilling to learn, that I have a problem with. So, like, we hired a dedicated writer, Mad Cat USA. I don't know if he's in the chat currently. Mad Cat is old school. Mad Cat doesn't use AI. That was one of my first questions of, do you use AI in your writing? He's like, no, I hate it. I won't use it. Like, sweet. Now, a business owner might say, well, oh, he is here. Hey, Mad Cat. He's like, a business owner might say, well, that means they're going to cost me more money. Okay, I don't care. I'm going to get a more realistic example of a writing. Now, if we want to run it through AI for whatever reason, we can. So far, haven't needed to. His writing has been top notch. Very happy with that hire. And in fact, dude, absolutely, you read it, because I'm worried about things opening up on my PC currently. Or, well, Discord might be open. Let's see if Discord's open.
No, you'll be fine. Try and
Discord is open. Mad Cat came to us. Like, this is things that, like, small business, you love it when people do it. But in big business, oh my God, you don't do this. He said, and this, I will read the exact message verbatim, and I want you all to understand these are the type of employees and staff that we're looking for. At Grant, thoughts on doing a series of articles on the basics of 3D printing. I'm going to reach out to staff name redacted too. We might be able to turn it into a wiki that only staff can edit. Which do you think would work better, articles or a wiki? I remember when I started in 3D printing, I had to hunt all over for different articles, videos, etc. to find out what was what and how it all worked together. Find yourself staff that do that. Completely unprompted. Completely unprompted. We had not discussed this whatsoever. Never have we discussed this. He had this thought, put it in the Discord, tagged me in it. My response, amazing idea, wiki first, then articles from it. He said perfect. He's already got the team put together. They're already taking care of it. That is what matters. AI doesn't get you that. AI doesn't get you that. He says, hey, I was bored. I think when I'm bored, I feel that.
I mean, I feel so called out with that. Every time I come out with like really big business decisions, it's that one day I decided I'm not going to do any business.
Yeah, and your mind's able to, like, because now you're not focusing on the business decisions. Yeah,
yeah.
It's funny, like, I had a business mentor talk to me about, like, using the speech on the ChatGPT app and talk to it like I would talk to, like, a staff member and ask it questions, and it doesn't feel the same to me. So,
and that's one of the key things with LLM style big language models.
They're not humans.
Uniform. They are designed to be the most average you can get because they're statistics machines. And while you can tell it to act in a certain way, you are going to get an average response of whatever you're asking from it, which means you don't get nuance. You get an average amount of nuance. You get an average amount of quality. It will never be better or worse. And that's one of the main benefits, is you can sanity check yourself because it's an average level of whatever. And as it gets better, that middle average becomes more competent. But you're not going to get unique speech patterns unless you told it exactly what to do. And even then, it's going to be averaged out.
I don't mind.
It's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, like I don't specifically mind the text or the talking to the ChatGPT app, but I also know that everything that you tell it is also being used to train it. So
that's why it's so cheap.
Yeah, $20 a month if you're paying for it, literally free if you don't want to pay for it. You just
$200 if you have way too much money. Don't do that.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not,
don't do that to it.
I don't need it.
Don't do it.
No, we never need it. And literally, if you look at the thumbnail of this video, the 3D printer that's in it is generated with ChatGPT. We did that as a joke because we almost never use AI in our thumbnails. but we thought that that would be
What do you
funny.
mean almost don't? We never use AI in the thumbnails.
We've used it twice before.
Exactly. Twice is a statistical 0.
It's technically a non-zero, but yeah, I enjoy what it can do. I like the sanity check. But yeah, when it comes to making big decisions, I'm going to talk to humans from a business standpoint. From a user standpoint, my God, if I was in school still.
Oh, I legitimately think that our current students are absolutely screwed. Because imagine when you were a student and suddenly, yeah, you've got an AI that can answer all your questions at relative quality and just skip all the hard work. You're doing that.
I know
of course you're going to do that.
I remember when my dad was in his doctorate program. One of the funny things when my dad was in his doctorate program is one of his professors had less experience on Earth than my father had in the field that the professor was talking about, which is always funny to me to look at that. Like, my dad has been doing this job longer than you've been alive, but you're the professor. But my dad would get book assignments and he'd have to like write his opinion on it. And he would read the whole book. And I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, you know what this book is about. Just read the cliff notes on it. The spark notes, right? Like, just read that. That's all you need. You're smart enough that you can fill in the gaps. It is a opinion paper. Why are you going to take the time to read the whole thing? He's like, well, that's just what I do. I'm like, why? Your time is valuable. Don't do that. But he still did. That was his kind of his old school bit working for him, is that he liked to go through it again. And my new school was that if I don't need to read it, I don't want to waste the time doing it. I can take that time back and use it for whatever I want, even if that is literally doing nothing. I recognize that there are people that are going to say, oh, literally, someone said, read the whole book or don't. If you're not, you're just repeating someone else's opinion on the book. I somewhat disagree with that. I understand that you're not going to get the whole thing, but like me, I do a lot of audiobooks now. I listen to audiobooks while I'm working, and then I will go read, when I'm through the audiobook, I'll go read the synopsis to make sure I didn't miss anything, because like, I can often just tune into what I'm working on and completely miss what I'm listening to. I think I have to start listening on a speaker rather than my headphones. That might make me more cognitively aware. I don't know. I'm messing around with this. But this is like one of those things where I want to use a little bit of new school and old school. For 3D printing, I still haven't found AI to be all that useful. There are some of like, I know Maker World has some stuff, but I'm just not a huge fan of Maker World. That has like some AI stuff where you can give it a 2D image and then it will make it 3D. But I don't know how much of that is an LLM or... You know what I mean? Like...
Yeah.
How, like, what are they doing to do that? Because, like... Oh, now you're having problems, not me.
Yep, my entire Windows environment just crashed.
All right.
Yay. Hopefully the camera's still working.
All right, I can literally see your monitors flashing in the background.
Oh my god. It's such a scuff day today.
It really is. It's
just absolutely scuff.
Even our computers are like, nah, fam. Nah.
Oh, man. Of course, all my recordings crash as well. Stop recording, give it a couple of seconds, so then we can start recording again.
Yeah, Lucky 13 Toys, Gabe, saying, generate your new model of Maker World. Where'd you get your training data? Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Do you want to hit the billing department while I restart? Because the billing department's never in the recordings.
Let me hit that billing department. Since according to my OBS, we're only 32 minutes in, but according to my clock, we're 58 minutes in. Huge thank you to the sponsors of this podcast. We've got Construct 3D with the UK's fastest 3D printers, the world's first bamboo 3D printer that is business class for a business class user. If you are looking to get a ridiculously awesome 3D printer for your business, built by the co-host of this show, Jacob from Construct 3D, you can hit him up, construct-3d.com. And if you are in the United States, you will have to email them. So if you're trying to get a 3D printer from Construct in the United States, email them. But these are literally the safest 3D printers that I've ever seen. Jacob goes through levels that even I think are excessive. And if I think levels of safety are excessive, you're hitting the right things in my book. Certainly, if I was looking to start a business class 3D printing business again, we would be considering Construct 3D. Yes.
I don't even know my camera's working at this point because I can't see anything.
Yes, your camera is currently working.
Okay, cool. My streams are not. It is all white for me. So I'm just going to really quickly close OBS and reopen it. So my camera might die. Actually, I know. I can override the camera. Set to NVIDIA broadcast. You shouldn't have seen any difference, but now it's not on OBS.
Yep, nope, you're good.
Okay, OBS
you're
window
good.
1, close. Close.
You're good, close. But then let's go ahead and thank Printed Solid for being our filament sponsor here at 3D Musketeers. If you want to enter to win some awesome Printed Solid filament made in America, you can do that by using the link in the pinned chat message we will draw at the end of the episode. So if you do want to get that, you can. We will be visiting them in their new location here sometime around 3D Printopia. So if you are excited to see what they've done with this new space that is significantly larger than their old space, I think you all will enjoy it. If you do want to get some merch, links are in that description. You can join, help us out, kick a couple of bucks and all of that into help keeping these streams YouTube ad-free. We're still going to do our ad reads because that's part of what, keeps the show moving. But at the same time, if you do want to support us, you can do so. A couple of bucks goes a long way. And at the $10 tier and higher, you get to come hang out in our private Discord where we do an after the show where, as one might think, after the show, we go hang out in the Discord for, depending on how busy we are, a level amount of time. And we just chat. And you guys get more behind the scenes stuff. I think I'll be editing more today. I got to work on some 360 footage from Sweden that we got to put together and get it out. Oh, and yes, according to Chris Catlett, they go in there during the show and heckle us during the show, even though we can't hear them. We can't hear them. And yeah, if you want to get some merch, shop at 3dmusketeers.com. We've released new designs. We just haven't talked about it yet. The spring collection is out. I think you'll enjoy it. I have not yet even placed my own order of it, so I don't even... The designs are beautiful. I'm very happy with them, but I don't even have my own order yet. I need to do that at the end of the show. So, we good? Like, subscribe, all those things.
Yes, but I found something really weird. Look at my stream.
Yes.
This is through OBS, which should be a clone of my main camera.
Yes.
That's my main camera. The color's just changed.
It's a little different on the color.
Yep.
Huh. Interesting.
I know how to do tech. Apparently not.
Yeah. Welcome to the show where everything is live.
Everything
OBS
is live
color
and
tuning.
all the problems are... why?
I don't want that. Just give me a pass-through.
These are color-calibrated sensors. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm not going to send... Oh, no, I have to do. Because if I ever do an overlay, I can't do it through the... So you're going to have me in slightly faded Jacob mode, because if I ever want to just have, like, funny hotkey, woo!
Yeah, index!
I have to do it through OBS. Oh my god. Technology.
Oh, yeah. Always technology.
Oh.
So, Jacob, as a 3D printer manufacturer, How do you feel about AI's value in designing 3D printers?
Massively helpful.
Yeah.
So I have used AI quite heavily in just general business case. So everything from website development to printer development. One of the really strong things I like to do is use diffusion models for prototyping, where it's art generation. So once you understand the underlying technology behind AI, you start to actually be able to figure out how things can work. So don't take an output of an AI as, oh, the output is the response. Use it as
Right.
a tool in the arsenal of design. So in this case, actually no, don't even say this case. It Going back to what I said previously, AI is generalist. It is the most average of an output you can get for a piece of technology.
Right.
And that is what you can use. So if I say, go design me a 3D printer, I'm not expecting it to tell me what motors I should use or what sensors I should use because they're too specific for what it needs to be. What it's really good at, though, is being like, hey, we've identified general features that your machine needs to have. We have identified a general aesthetic that you need to consider. And that is a really strong tool to speed up the development process. Now, I've I hate to say this because it's now been co-opted with the AI world. So I used to do what's called vibe design, which is not related to AI at all.
That seems
Where
like a
vibe
very
coding,
Gen Z thing to say. Oh yeah, what do you do? I do vibe design. Okay, I do vibe design. Like
well, that's the thing is vibe
what kind
coding is
of
a thing now.
no, buddy, that is I refuse to accept that as a thing, okay? My millennial
Yeah.
brain cannot process that vibe design is a thing. Like
Okay, let me tell you the difference. So vibe coding, which is the new
vibe
term.
vibe is about vibrations, okay? And how they interact with things.
Ah, it's the feel.
The
It's the
feel.
emotion behind something.
So
So
are they good
vibe
vibrations, Jacob?
I got the reference. It's fine.
Good, 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 good vibrations. We can't.
Anyway,
Thankfully,
yeah,
we're not.
don't get
We're so out
don't
of
get us
tune. It
copyright
doesn't
strikes.
matter. Yeah, yeah. We're so out of tune. We
Um,
won't get hit for it.
so for anyone who has never heard of the term vibe coding before, that means instead of coding, you go to an AI and ask it to do the job for you. I'm not talking about that when I talk about vibe design. When I do vibe design, I will spend an entire day looking at one bolt and I go, it doesn't feel right. And then I spend the reasoning why it doesn't feel right. Because for me as a engineer, I now trust my intuition a lot more than the raw math outputs of this thing needs to be this strong and this thick. If my intuition says something is wrong, I will listen to that every time. Just every time. And one of the things that speeds up that process of does it feel right, does it not, is going to an AI and being like, hey, sanity check this stupid idea. Give me a direction of something that I didn't consider. Construct 2, for example, when I was designing the outer shell of the machine, I already knew what I had available to me. I knew what manufacturing processes, I knew all of this. What I didn't know is what aesthetic should I go with? Like, just like an aesthetic output. So I
I'm
literally
a functional
did
output
paragraph and
kind of
verse.
guy.
Well, so that's the thing is, I went to Midjourney because Midjourney is actually surprisingly powerful for the art stuff. I did use Stable Diffusion as well because I like using multiple tools, and I generated 1,000 different pictures of 3D printers. 1,000.
That's a lot.
They were all terrible. However, because I am aware that they are generalist outputs, I can see what they put on the machine, which is aesthetically pleasing. So a lot of them put the screen high and to the right, and a lot of them put a cabinet somewhere else, and they put the backgrounds being this. So when you start considering the nebulousness of AI based art, you actually start seeing the concepts that it was pulling from, which is if you see a 3D printer that looks like this, it's more likely to be in this environment. If it has this aesthetic touch, they are expecting this output. And then you can actually distill it into a bullet point. Do this if this. And then as a designer, I can then take that, ignore all the artwork it generated, and then go back in and do it myself. And that is how a lot of that process happens. It actually worked for our website. So I am not a web developer. I've done web development, but I am not a web developer.
So
What really helped me with remembering certain concepts was I said, hey, here are my 2 colors for my website.
right.
Generate me 50 industrial based websites. And it would just generate a load of pictures. All of them are illegible. However,
But you're
what you
looking
start
at it for
seeing
the
is,
flow.
yeah, the flow, like, oh, big picture, small picture,
Ah.
text. This color matched with this color matched with this. They went down a little bit, and then there's a big title
Damn,
bar.
I haven't used things like that. Dude,
It's really strong. It's really
so
strong.
instead of me like, I mean, we have graphic artists on the team, so like that's not that big of a deal for me. But like, let's say I'm solo designing a website and I want to like sanity check it and get some other examples of what it could look like. That's where, dude, now that's, I really like
You
this.
can go on my website right now. So I know color science. I know all about color space and color theory. My actual like personal job title for myself. Actually, no, job title is the wrong word. Like, I classify myself more interested in psychology of design. The psychology that goes behind design decisions, in my opinion, make decisions more valuable. So if you take a 3D printed object, mixing it with wood and another thing, the psychology of how the materials interact with each other is what makes that product really strong. I really like those aspects of, like, if I was, say, doing a CV, this is a really good tip, by the way, for anyone doing a CV, I do not use black ink. I use 90% black ink because it lowers the contrast of black on white, meaning it's easier to read for anyone with dyslexia. On
Huh.
average, you are going to be able to have a better presented piece of documentation, and I have proof of that. All of my dissertations for university were 90% black. My score when I changed to 90% black went up by 4%. I didn't change, I just changed the text color. And it's things like that that allow me to take concepts. So going back to where I was going with this,
Damn it,
my
that's so
website,
good.
I forgot something vital. I forgot it because I'm not in that space all the time to remember it.
Right, it's
I
hard to
had
look on the
white
outside
text.
as a business owner. It's hard to look on the
Yeah.
outside of your business and say, what am I missing? That's why companies do focus groups. That's why
Yep.
focus groups are so important. So instead you used AI basically as a focus group.
Pretty much.
Bloody
It's
brilliant.
generalist knowledge. What I forgot was I had white text as my title and my body text on a blue background. I needed a light blue text on the blue background. I forgot about monochromatic color spacing. I just completely forgot about that because I'm not in that world. All of the outputs, there was one theme that went through them. They matched the colors text to the background's text, and it reminded me. And then that became a bullet point, and then I can action it. And I didn't use AI in the output, I used AI in the process to allow me to get to the output. But it's
That's
the same
pretty
with the
damn
printers.
cool.
So I've got like a dozen printer designs that are never going to hit production. But a lot of the aspects behind them, like how do the doors open? For example, where do you put your handles? I can look at really bad designs from an AI, but I look at where they put their handles and what is the flow of the design, because AI doesn't know at the moment particularly what a 3D printer is.
Right.
It does know what is aesthetically pleasing in artwork. And
Okay.
if it's aesthetically pleasing in artwork, it's probably going to be aesthetically pleasing in real life. So just take the concepts, see the flow of the art, and use that as a reference point to then go back to design. It's really powerful. It speeds up design so much. Now,
I've
I
never
do
looked at
know
it that way. That's
that is a
such a
bit different than the question you asked,
no,
but that's
but
how I
like,
use it.
while it is different than the question that I asked, I think it still answers the core of it of where is the value in it. And I'm now realizing that I'm not I'm paying $20 a month for ChatGPT and I'm really not using it as much as I could. But like I part of me looks at it as, oh, like I don't want to use it as a crutch. Like a lot of you, I struggle from impulse control issues, and it's why I don't start drinking, it's why I don't do recreational drugs, it's why I don't gamble, because I have impulse control issues. I'm well aware of my problems, right? It's also why I have like 70 some odd 3D printers. um I struggle with utilizing AI and all that because I worry that I'm going to lean on it too much and I'm going to utilize it where I could just make the decision myself and do a better job on my own, but always now second guess myself and have to go to Chat GPT to help me. And that just, it doesn't feel right.
So
But I
that
guess
is the other aspect, is if you rely on AI too much, it removes the
right,
humanity behind decisions.
right.
And that's one of the things you have to be aware of. It's actually why I have a very contentious mindset when it comes to AI art. I will stand by, as an artist, I used to draw digitally professionally.
Mm-hmm.
That paid for my college tuition, basically. You don't earn money in the UK when you're at college because it's free, but you're studying all the time. I did freelance art. It was great. Paid for a lot of stuff. And a lot of my friends who did art hate AI art because it weakens the art process. It feels fake. It feels wrong. And I sit to them and I sat down with them and I haven't been able to change their mindset. And I don't think I'll be able to change anyone's mindset hearing this, but this is my view. If you're using AI art and the output is what you're then selling, that's not AI art. That's like using a power drill and drilling some holes and going, I built building. AI art is great because it allows for the bottom level. People who could never do art is now better.
To generate something.
And they can now
yeah.
get stuff. But it also pushes I want to test something. Like I'm going to do a really bad, like 20-minute drawing, and then I'm going to generate 50 or 100 designs off that just to see composition, lighting, learning, all of these things. Because AI is great to learn off of. It's not going to be a professional. It never is. It's going to over contrast stuff. Like that's the main thing as well. It over contrasts paintings because it's good for the human eye. An artist, however, will go in going, that's a terrible decision. That little bit there doesn't make sense. Where's the composition on that? That is what separates AI from real, and eventually AI will catch up as it learns, but it isn't human. And that decision factor is why I keep telling my artist friends is A, you're not looking at the tool, you're just feeling threatened by it.
Right.
And B, the type of person who wants art made wants your mind to make it. They don't want funny little picture of what they do for money. They want you to make funny little picture for money. And that is a really nice thing because now you can use AI art as a tool to help you. You could triple the amount of time you take doing the characters so they are brilliant and then get the AI to do a bush. You don't need to do the bush yourself when you can better focus if you're time critical. It's decision factors like that, which is
Yeah,
why I
use it to
actually
make
like AI art.
Use it to do non-critical stuff. I've always been very anti AI art, because I look at it as an excuse or a crutch, right? Because to me it feels like the easy way out versus, doing it correctly. But you know what? Honestly, if you're doing the main thing, but some of like the smaller background stuff is done by ChatGPT, Dolly, whatever, I think I can get on board with that. I think I can get on board with that. Real quick, EA888 said for the $5 says, I enjoy watching the show every Sunday. Thanks, guys. Well, thank you for the $5.
Thank you for joining us on probably the most scuff stream in a hot
dude,
minute.
it's now gonna
We've had 2 crashes, 18 tangents, and
know
we're
what
talking
sucks?
about AI, so we're going to get the crypto bros in the chat after this ends.
Because my OBS crashed, I now have to go into DaVinci Resolve and put the 2 clips in and then export a new video so I can upload it to Spotify. So I can't even upload the raw recording to Spotify because I have to. What a pain in the butt. Vendolis with the $4.99 says, recently got a Prusa Core 1. Why should my next printer be a Construct 3D? Well,
Good question.
I'm going to take this one because if Jacob takes it, he's literally financially incentivized for it to be your next printer.
Also, I will get tangented and I will probably tell you not to buy one because I
Well-
love being true and I'm the worst salesman you've ever met.
Instead of telling you why it should be your next printer, I'm going to ask you, are you building a business with 3D printing? If you are building a business with 3D printing, I would argue that a Construct 3D printer is probably one of the only machines outside of a Stratasys and maybe some Prusas, although I'm not certain if Prusas have enough safety behind it, but that you could actually get insurance for. You know, if you are just a hobbyist, Construct 3D is fundamentally too expensive for you. Just to be real, they're like, your base printer's what, $3,000?
No, we have the smaller one, which is 1.6.
Okay, that's 1,600 pounds, right?
Yeah, so it's about
2,000
$2,000 US.
So 2,000 US. A Prusa Core 1 is less than that, and a Prusa Core 1 is considered expensive in today's economy for 3D printers.
A Prusa Core 1 also has a bigger build volume. Keep that in mind as well.
250 by 220 by 270. What's your small one?
225, 270, 180.
Yeah, that's such an odd. Oh, and then your big one is just an extended Z. Okay, that makes sense.
It's ZNX. The big one is the original product.
Mhm.
The small one was actually, we needed a machine for smaller markets and smaller parts. So we did a lot of psychology of design of what
It's your
sizes-
P1P
sizes
versus your
need to be
X1
done.
carbon.
Exactly. Also, from a manufacturing point of view, the small machine's gorgeous because it uses all of the
It is pretty.
offcuts of the big 3-meter length extrusions to make the smaller one.
That's cool.
We run an almost 0% waste factory because of that product. If we didn't, we'd be having tons of waste. We've not even sent off 1 ton of waste yet in the entire almost 5 years of production we've been doing.
That's pretty cool.
Not 1 ton.
And so, if you're not running a 3D printer business or doing 3D printing professionally or doing it in a professional environment, it's like if you work for an engineering company, a Construct 3D printer might make sense. As a end user, if you're just a hobbyist, I'm not certain that the price point of a Construct 3D machine is 100% there for someone who is just doing regular stuff. If you want to do engineering grade materials, have it be built by a family-owned business, and support made in the UK, made in the EU, made other than China, right? Construct is phenomenal for that. But the vast majority of users do not fit into that category. The vast majority of users don't fit into that category.
I think the easy way to describe it is Construct 3D has always and will always be the golden tier of machinery for its class. And that is what separates us from everyone else. For example,
the amount of
bolt
safety
we put in that
you
machine,
go through just blows my mind. Like,
it's not even that. Safety is a side effect of trying to do it right. Like, the reason I say it's the golden quality of everything we try to do is we will not skimp if there is a 10 to 15% increase in performance, but it doubles the price. We will just double the price on that part, buy the right part. It's why our thermal brakes are all titanium. It's literally that. And the reason being is it made printing in adverse environments 4% better. Titanium is not that much of an improvement, but it has that little bit extra. This printer was designed to be the one you never need to modify, and then give you all of the options available so you could modify it if you needed to. It's supposed to be the opposite of my experience when I bought an Ender 3 and an Ender 4 and my Prusa Mark 3, which was, I need to print a part and stick it on and I'll replace this bit to make it better. Construct 3D is the opposite. It's the machine that, from my side, I don't want you to ever feel like you have to change anything, but I will always provide support if you did, because you might be doing something weird. Hell, we had an algae company come to us and they needed a custom extruder. No printer would accept their custom-made extruder except ours, because you can
Yeah.
just plug it in and it works. And we gave full support for that.
If you are price dependent, you were never even considering Construct 3D. But if you are looking for a quality hand-built machine with quality manufacturing, with some of the highest end parts that you can imagine, like, go watch our tour, right? This is a family business, 3 people, and they have a warehouse where they do their manufacturing. They're not manufacturing in their house. They have a warehouse. Like, they have an actual building that they do their manufacturing out of. That is a non-trivial amount of money that was spent and is spent to maintain that facility. That alone should tell you how serious they take their work. Because a 3-person business almost never has that. That should alone tell you how serious they take it. And the fact that when we were there was one thing that we were not allowed to film. And you actually did a very good job of hiding it. So even ancillary, it wouldn't show up on camera. Because it was the new prototype thing. Everything else, even the stuff that wasn't perfectly organized, we were allowed to film. Construct 3D requested no editing rights to the video whatsoever. They did not even request to view the video before it went live. And they all still feel very warm and fuzzy that it has more views than our tour of Prusa.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Although that cold open...
Prusa might have beat us towards the getting UL before us by 1 week due to a paperwork error on our side.
But their UL is not the same UL. They have the UL green UL.
So just for anyone wondering, there are 2 I think Prusa now has regular UL, or at least the lower level of regular UL. I think I saw it on the website. Don't quote me on that though. Will somebody try fact check me? Just Google print Prusa 3D UL, whatever. Try find an actual UL. It cannot say Green Guard.
Yeah,
so Green Guard is an emission-based UL testing. That's not really UL. That just means the stuff you're making and off-gassing is not going to kill you. UL is all about, does your heaters fail safe? If they fail deadly, how do they fail? Make sure it is safe. It is literally, part of the testing is like ignition testing, where you take a glow plug, set it to 2000 degrees, you push it into the side of the machine until it catches fire, then you remove the glow plug and you have to record A, how big the flame was, B, how much soot and residue is produced by that. Does it drip? And the drips cannot ignite anything else.
That's
they have to extinguish by the time they hit. Yep, we've done that. Our printers passed that. And we've done EMC testing, radiology testing, grounding testing. So like grounding your machine is not good enough. You need to make sure you know which grounding band you're in. So if you ground it and something goes wrong, it doesn't short anything else out on the rest of the system. Things like that. That is UL testing. It is a level of safety that you expect nowhere because nobody does it. It's so expensive.
To give you an idea, that kind of testing, Jacob, do not say how much it cost you, because I think that is something that should be kept private. But
oh no, that is actually classed as a company secret.
Yeah, when I worked as a makerspace director, we didn't know that the town that we were in required all machinery to be UL listed. We only found that out when the fire inspector refused to give us a CO. Because for some reason, the architect left the machinery on the floor plan. So the machinery had to be in place before we got the CO. The machinery was not UL listed. We opted to just sell some of it and buy in UL listed machinery, but some of it you just couldn't get UL listed. The base price for UL to send somebody out and even remotely verify if the machine was UL listed, and all they would do was tell you yes or no. They would not tell you how it was a no or how it was a yes. They would just tell you yes or no.
Yep.
$30,000 US. $30,000 US. And basically, what you had to do was watch the inspector And things that they didn't seem to like, you had to notate so you could go back and try to fix it.
I'm not going to say how much I paid on mine because that's stupid, but 30,000 is a good price.
That was for one inspection. Now, unfortunately, before that inspection occurred, I sustained multiple herniated discs and unfortunately never returned to that job. So, as much as I would have loved to understand more behind it, I never got to. So, that's all that I can say. But yeah, UL's kind of a racket. I'm going to be straight with you. UL's kind of a racket.
Oh, no. So on that point of it being racket, Doug has actually reminded me, we do have an ingress protection rating. I think we're the first on the market that has that. So if you've got little kiddies that like to stick things in places, we actually have a rating, which is IPX4. Though I'm pretty sure we'd be able to get IP24, just because we didn't do the water-based testing, because don't put the printer in the rain. Don't do that.
I live in Florida. It's basically always wet here.
Well, we've got drainage ports just in case, because we did think of that. But no, and the other side is we will never put the UL logo on the machine, because from the safety aspect, it's like a qualification. The moment we put the UL logo, the racket begins. We have to stick to the UL system, meaning they will do quarterly inspections of the factory at our expense. They will demand updates to the paperwork, costing us again like 30 grand at a time just to get stuff done. Or we do the testing every time we make a change, we get the pass results, and we just don't tell UL. And then we've got the legal safety of being UL tested and UL passed. We just aren't on UL's website. And the privilege of being on UL's website is what you really, where the racket starts. You don't need it. Legally, there's no difference. You pass the test.
So, all that to say, there are reasons to buy Construct 3D, but the average hobbyist doesn't meet those standards. If you are looking to take 3D printing and additive manufacturing seriously, and you want to put FDM, FFF, however you want to call it, into your facility, and you are looking to do this as a business professionally, maybe consider Construct 3D, construct-3d.com.
If you're a school or a college, we're the only ones that are actually qualified safe for school use. Just for reference.
That's pretty cool.
Especially around fire and ingress, which is kids sticking fingers where they shouldn't be.
So you watch YGK's video, and it's funny because I wanted to do this AI in 3D printing podcast before that video even came out. And you're like, oh yeah, YGK just released a video on this. I'm like, really? So for those that don't know, today was supposed to be the generative machine interview. Rick had something else come up. He's going to be next episode, which theoretically is next Sunday, but I might be at Murph, so maybe it's 2 weeks from now. I don't know if we're going to Murph yet, and it's less than a week away. So, whatever. But this makes sense because we have generative machine, which uses generative design to make their insanely cool 5-axis metal 3D printed 3D printer. Is that even AI? Like, where does generative design, and this is probably a better question for Rick, but it's cooler if we talk about it now that we can go back and reference it.
I would love to be so wrong, and we can have a segment where he's correcting us the entire time.
I kind of want that too. Like,
so in my eyes, generative design is not AI. It is a smart process that gives AI-like behavior.
To me, it's an algorithm.
Because it's an algorithm. It's basically just a stress-based fluid simulation without the fluid moving about. So you get the stress and strain factors, and then you just do a slider, and it cuts off the bits of lower strain up until a certain boundary. That's what I view it as. It's closer to machine learning instead of AI.
Can we do,
and again,
a little like AI versus ML here? Is that because
okay, yeah, sure.
I'm not fundamentally smart enough to give it. So give an AI versus ML in a way that even my dumbass will understand it.
Okay, so ML, depending on which formula of ML you do, you can imagine it as just fancy if statements.
Okay.
Or if you want a more visual representation, imagine you have a bank of dials, like on a cooker, just a load of dials. Take that little bank and
Okay.
put like 5 of them behind each other.
Okay.
You can turn a dial and that will turn another dial further back, and then that dial will feed to another dial. And what machine learning does is you set all the dials to random, you give it an input, you measure the output. And if you don't like the output, you change the dials. And you slowly bring all those dials in to be able to input output every single time.
Okay.
That is machine learning. It's using not even generative, like neural processors, which is what these dials are. These dials simulate neurons. It is an activation function, which is just a shape. It could be a graph. It could be low on the graph, doesn't do anything, high on the graph, does a lot.
Okay.
And then it sends a yes or a no to the next node. And then that will go to another node. It's simulating neurons, which is why a lot of people liked to call it AI, because it's simulating
It's
what's in the brain.
simulating a brain. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really think for itself. It does something
No.
based upon an input data set, correct?
Now, here's the big difference, and you've hit it on the head.
Okay.
It's deterministic. The
Okay.
same input will give the same output every single time, because the dials are set. Once they're locked in place, they're done. You don't have to do anything else. And that is literally just an artificial neural network. It's a simulated brain. Now, there are a lot of other types of machine learning that are involved, but this is the one that a lot of people seem to latch onto because it is the most common in terms of how things happen.
So I'm gonna give an example, but it's like how I really think that the terminology sucks right now. It's like I have Artec Studio. It's a $1,500 to $1,700 a year program, or like almost $4,000 one-time pay with no updates. For 3D scanners, specifically for Artec 3D scanners. It used to be called their system for determining how much horsepower your machine had, right? So they would run these tests to determine how hard this can hit your PC before you run out of resources, so that you don't run out of resources when you're processing 3D scan data, which is a very, very cool thing to do, right? That's why I love the Artec Studio software, because it is so resource light compared to other 3D scanning softwares on the market.
Yep.
In their latest Artec Studio 19, they rebranded that to their neural network training, which is the exact same thing, but they've just changed the name to be something that is just ambiguous. And according to Chris Catlett, who is kind of like one of the big tech guys in our Discord server, it is not technically incorrect. But like, why did they not use the term prior? Was it because the buzzword itself wasn't well understood, so nobody used it? Like, it upset me that they changed the name. I'm like, what the hell is this advanced neural network BS? Because to me, it's the exact same thing, where you just, basically you're running Prime 95 to see how hard you can hit my CPU until it starts to thermal throttle, my GPU until it starts thermal throttle, how much RAM that we have, how fast all of that stuff is, so that you can keep your thermals under check, your RAM speeds under check. That way you're not exceeding the processing power of a computer, which is amazing. But why change the name? Companies like DaVinci, with their latest DaVinci 20, with their AI voice isolation, it's the same voice isolation. They just put AI on it. They just put the word AI on it. And the frustration that myself and our two editors currently have shared over this stupid nomenclature thing, because they're just following the term of, oh, we're going to put AI on everything, is so frustrating. But I refuse to pay Adobe every single month because that is stupid. Anyways, companies that just put AI on things because they can, I don't like you. I see what you're doing. You get docked points in the grant sphere of influence because you're doing it for all the wrong reasons. If you're using training data, great. Tell us. But don't just put AI on things and not make it any better, because that's nothing but marketing BS.
Pretty much.
Oh,
So yeah, so
yeah,
that
sorry. I get closer to the
oh.
mic when I rant. I should get better with stepping away from
You're
the
gonna
mic
have
for a
woken
bit.
Nerman up now.
I'm sorry, Durbin. I'm sorry for waking you up. Go back to sleep. Good night.
Everyone, go support Bontech. We
Go
just woke
support-
up half their employees at this stage.
Yeah, bondtech.se. They don't pay us to say that. They did once.
They're just that cool. Look, cool extruder. There we go. Oh look. Ooh,
you
Kat is
got
gonna
one.
love the fact that I finally got it.
Nice.
There we go. This is going into a test machine literally tomorrow.
Nice.
Kat is gonna love the fact that I've already shown it off. There we.
And for the Bondtech staff
so...
wait, hold on. We're on Bondtech, and I can put this into food talk, so we're actually good. Okay, this is important. Yeah, put it up on screen. Last weekend I met up with my parents because they were in the area, and I brought all the Swedish candy because my dad said he loves salty licorice. The Swedish F words, because that's what it translates to. It translates to Swedish F words, but the real F word, I'm just not saying it because I try to make this more family friendly. The look, I wish my father would have let me take his photo when he was trying it. He's like, these are terrible. And then he finally got through this. I was like, oh, this licorice is great. But getting there is terrible. I do not like these. He's like, this is too salty. He loved the Turkish peppers. And he liked the skull that was half raspberry, half licorice. I got him a bag of that. He loved that.
That's good.
He's like, yeah, these are the right kind of salty. But it was very funny to see his reaction. He's like, oh God, I thought you were kind of faking it on the stream. I'm like, no, they're actually that bad.
I also bought a tub, and I've given them out to everybody in my local area that I could just like not tell them what it is, just tell them it's salty licorice. Actually, I didn't even say it was salty licorice. I just said licorice. Half of them assumed it was sugar.
I assumed.
And then you
sour.
see their face. That you just saw their face on.
Yep.
It was worth it every time.
Yeah. So Jimmy's in the chat. Jimmy brought a can of it down. It was supposed to be for my dad, but we ended up trying it on the stream because I was able to buy more tins of it.
I'm salivating now just remembering how salty it was.
I'm not.
Oh, I've been scarred. I've actually been scarred.
Yeah, he thought he was going to love it. It did beat him. It was too salty. Courtney from Filament Stories tried it once. She enjoyed taking it apart and then washing all the salt off the licorice and then eating. She's like, oh, this licorice is so good. It's some of the best licorice I've ever had. So that was very funny.
We should import some for Smurf.
I still have 2 cans. I got to send one to Chris Catlett.
Yeah, but we should import some for Smurf. Get
well,
like a
Bondtech better be
up.
at Smurf, so we can just ask them to bring us some.
That is true.
Beard Printer with the $10 for the salty licorice business fund. Yes, because pain. But yeah, that was semi-food related. We're still a food podcast.
There we go.
We're still a food podcast.
So yeah, so wrapping back around now.
Mm-hmm.
So machine learning is technically AI. I want to get that out of the way. It is technically AI, but it's dumb AI. It's very deterministic, meaning input equal output pretty much every single time. As was mentioned previously, I can't remember who said it. I just forgot your name. Oh, I'm so sorry. But somebody was right in mentioning that I was talking about artificial neural networks. There are a lot of other types of machine learning, like Q-learning. You've got tree-based like flow methods. There's a lot that go on. And now what is more commonly known as AI is the deep learning side. So it's still a machine learning pipeline, but this is where that black box starts getting built, where it's now so complicated with so much progressive compute going on. We physically now do not know how to figure out how they've done what they've done. Like, we can look at individual sections, but a lot of it is just alien to us now. And that's where we're starting to get to those convolutional neural networks, or more commonly transformer models, which is what runs GPT. So they take tokenized input, they transform it to something else, they generate something, and then they push it as an output. That is more commonly known as AI nowadays. You've also got diffusion methods, where they're very efficient, because that is where they start as just all the data is noise, and then they diffuse it into an object. That's more commonly art, though we are now starting as a collective community to start looking at doing that for text-based output or math-based output. But generally, diffusion is art output, because it's easier to make images.
Is that why
with
it's called
random
stable
noise
diffusion? Is that why
Yep.
they call it stable diffusion?
Yep.
I legitimately didn't know that. I'm learning stuff
Yep.
today. So we were going to get into talking about this before the show, but I said stop. I want my reactions to be real. Right? I don't want to have to fake it on the show. Like, I had no idea why it was called stable diffusion. I just thought it was a name. Right? I didn't know. Right? Like, I don't. I know GPT stands for something in Chat GPT. I don't know what the hell it stands for, but it's clearly an acronym. But I didn't know that stable diffusion, that the diffusion part of it, or stable diffusion period, is an actual like type of
Yep.
AI, ML, and all that.
So when I was talking earlier about transformer models being Chat GPT, can you guess what the T in GPT stands for?
Training?
Transformer.
Transform.
It's generative pre-trained transformers.
But are they Autobots or Decepticons?
Always Decepticons. They lie to you straight through their face, and they'll tell you it's not lying. But so that is like the main difference between machine learning and AI as we know it nowadays. There's this nice line between deterministic and it does whatever it does, and we have no idea how it does it. And that is really the difference. Also, just for reference, diffusion models, which are again mostly the art stuff, they run on your GPU predominantly.
Yes.
They're really fast. They're parallel processed throughout the ass, because it does image segments the entire image at once. GPT is a transformer based model, which means it takes tokens. So it literally reads a token, does a thing, reads a token, does a thing, and it generates from a string, which is why it can start very strong and then end up wisping out into a nothing burger.
Now I want to get we've talked about that word. I now I want to get my buddy David Shorey on the show, because he's some of the stable diffusion stuff that he's doing. It's like, he used to come on the Friday call from time to time. There's a maker call that Matt Stoltz puts on every Friday from 9 to midnight Eastern. Follow him, Matt Stoltz, over on Blue Sky if you want to come hang out with us. But David Shorey used to come on, and he would share his screen, which was just the Zoom screen of everyone hanging out on Zoom, and he would be changing each person's video output to be something else. So like, one person was like some sort of famous artist painting as they were moving around, and he was getting like 6 or 8 frames per second. So like, okay, it's not very smooth, but you're doing 30 individual things that are different at a time. I'm like, dude, this is amazing. And he focuses on like the bleeding edge, and just has some really, really cool things that are very not publicly podcast appropriate, but some of the things David Shorey is doing, I would love to have that man on, but he is difficult to reach these days. He's very like deep into what he does. But yeah, David Shorey, absolutely phenomenal in that AI ML space, and I think is really kind of pushing that bleeding edge. Super cool guy. Christopher Elliott with the $5, thank you, sir, saying always good to learn at least one every day. Yeah, putting that Destin Sandlin method into practice, getting smarter every day. He had an interesting video, the Making in America versus China.
I haven't seen that yet.
I haven't watched the whole thing yet. I started watching it yesterday. and then I ended up getting busy.
Mm,
I I've had similar experiences to him. So,
interesting. I'm gonna keep that in my head when I watch it.
yeah.
One of our lovely Discord members, Sig, sent me the video saying, "I think you would like to watch this." You're right. I really want to watch this. I just have had zero time to even open YouTube.
Yeah, I do enjoy Destin's videos. I'd love to have him on the channel at some point as a
It'll be so
podcast guest.
fun.
That'd be so cool. Because I've met him a couple of times, but he really is just someone who has a wealth of, like, the dude's a literal rocket scientist. Like a literal rocket scientist.
Yep.
And is now just a YouTuber. It's amazing how your life can change with just the spark of creating videos.
Yep. I was a 3D printer manufacturer, and then I met you, and now suddenly I'm here. Why am I here?
I
I'm
don't
in this
know.
little box talking to
You
a
present
lot
an
of people.
interesting second opinion to things.
Oh, I'm just contrarian, to be honest. I just want to fight against you and slowly rage bait you on camera.
But yeah, that's what people like, I guess. I don't know. So,
But yeah, so
how do we
that is the
feel-
difference between ML and AI.
how do we feel about AI for 3D printing? Now, I want to preface this with like different kind of categories, right? I tell a program something and it generates the design. So, like, I've seen on Instagram, I've never actually tried it, but I've seen, like, the Instagram reels of people doing it where they talk to.
It's not good.
No, some of them are actually quite good. Where, like, I need you to design me a 11 millimeter cylinder with a hole of 5 millimeter diameter going through the center of it. I then need you to curve it 90 degrees. I need you to put these holes in it. For very simple stuff, I actually kind of like it because it brings some basic level of design into the hands of the average person. But I also believe that, like, Tinkercad exists too. So do the slicers themselves have basic designing properties. And I'm wondering if that does get better, how would I feel about it when I say, here's an image of my great grandmother. Can you turn her into a lifelike full color 3D model?
Okay, interestingly, you can already do that. And secondly, though the process of what you just said with like the Tinkercad do shapes, do a thing to the shape,
Yeah.
is a very different process to here's a picture, make a 3D model from a picture. They run on two separate process paths.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of the things that we need to be aware of is an AI that can generate 3D models is not going to be the same AI that generates engineering 3D models. They are very different in terms of their capabilities. And it's important to actually step one step further back into what AI is good at the moment versus what it will be good at in the future. So it harkens to what I said at the very start of the stream is AI is actually pretty bad at everything. It's generalist. But that also means if you give it complex math like do CAD, it will fail horribly unless it is literally cube with a hole. It will do an awful job. And it's because AI is actually, and I hate to say it because it kind of humanizes it, AI works better with tools like humans do. If you give AI the ability to program, it will program a tool that it can then control to give you the output.
Okay.
And that is going to be the big difference between AI we currently see at the moment, where they're kind of trying to just brute force, do the thing all at once.
Right.
And giving it, here is a tool set, here's the calculator, here's a drawing table with set rules that you can stick to. Go use that to do the output and then review the output as you do it. That is a very big difference. And it's also a big difference between here is a tool set to generate something and here is a picture that you then need to make a model from. Those are two very different process nodes.
So those that are
at
watching,
the moment, they're not very good.
Those that are watching us live and have the live chat, or if you're watching this back and feel like commenting, I want to know your thoughts, right? We want to know what you guys think. I mean, on YouTube you have 200 character limit, but feel free to, do multiple comments if you need to. We want to understand what the community thinks about it, because like I feel like there's some value. Like some of the Maker World stuff, I'm like, damn, that's kind of crazy and quite good. But at the same time, it is kind of removing base level 3D modelers from the
Mm.
industry, right? So
I
like
do.
this 2D photo to 3D model, if it is even remotely good, that is such a time intensive thing. Like for us as 3D Musketeers, if you give us an image and you want us to make a photorealistic 3D model, the minimum we are charging you is $1,000. The minimum we are charging is $1,000. Often it is double that by the time we're all done. But we are providing you with a proper photorealistic model that has like levels of texture that you can't describe. So that if you are doing it on a crazy high-end 3D printer, even if you decide to make it huge, you can. Right? When we do like 2D to 3D stuff, the models that we're building are often 100 million poly or larger. Right? They're huge. We
Yeah.
can use decimation or things like that to bring it down. But we start with a really high quality model in case you do want to do something big. Because the last thing you want is like to have a 1 million polygon model and then you need to make it jerry rig everything, where he did the concrete 3D printed thing.
Yep.
He ended up with a relatively low resolution model at the end of the day, because that's what he did. So it is a different process. But if that gets you 80% of the way there, you provide that hopefully full color 3D model to a artist, whether it's a Fiverr artist, somebody you know, whatever, to then do the rest of it. Well, hold on here. There's some value
So
to that from a consumer.
it gets quite interesting. What you could do is, well, okay, AI is not good enough at the current stage to replace people, but it will change eventually. And I do think it will hit the bottom levels first, but necessarily that's okay, because the type of jobs where AI is good at and humans are good at are very different. At the moment, AI is not good enough as creative. You can give it a direction, it can do a thing, but it isn't the vision you have in your head. And that is what we want to see realized half the time. When you're
Right.
doing a design, the let me think how to word this, because if I say the wrong words, somebody's going to clip this and it's just going to be bad advice for perpetuity. So I want to make sure I get my words right, because AI is a very contentious topic, especially as it's developing very fast. And that is actually a really good time to mention. AI is developing so fast, what we say here could literally be out of date in a couple of months.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
This is filmed live June 15th, 2025. So just to put that into perspective, if you're listening to this 3 years later down the road and you're like, oh, these guys have no idea what they're talking about. In 2025, this is our understanding. I have no formal education in AI. In fact, quite frankly, it often humbles me and makes me quite intimidated to use it. Jacob has more of a formal education in it, but to be
But that's not up to
formally,
date.
yeah, but to be formally
That's
educated,
just
you have to do it
more
all the time.
hobbyist level now. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like I read the research papers. Like I read the, to be honest, pretty bad Illusion of Thinking paper by Apple. I don't recommend reading
cool
it, by the
title,
way.
though.
I can get into that. It's such a cool title. My TLDR for it was they fundamentally misunderstood what large language models are in all of their training. So they've come to the conclusions that make absolutely no sense because they don't understand how large language models work. That's my personal opinion. Feel free to read it. It's a good read if you can finish it. I couldn't. And then we can debate it in the comments. That'd be fun.
All right, while you're thinking of the right word, I'm gonna thank Brad Stanton for the $1.99. Thank you very much, and the Max H for the $10. Thank you, sir. Saying just in case you do decide to go to the Midwest Rep Festival, I do hope we can go. but we're
So
trying to book going to Polar Filament at the same time, and we don't have a go or no go from them yet. So
okay, so I think I've got it. The tools for 3D printing and AI will become much better
whether we
over
want to
time.
or not, yes, it will.
There's no denying AI will now grow and become trained, and it will become a useful tool eventually, and then possibly a replacement tool in the coming future.
Okay.
At the moment, AI is good for really a few things. It's good at taking a 2D image, turning it 3D, and then possibly reteslating it. And it's good at soundproofing critical decisions you want to do, but it's not very good at generating usable 3D models as it currently is. You do have to oversee it on everything and then probably go in and fix things. Where it's going, however, is what is more interesting. And this is what's going to change the bedrock of the industry. And it's actually one of the bits that were in YJK video that I think is amazing. And it's having integration at a lower level to bring up the knowledge requirement. So in YJK's video, the slicer, I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's I wrote it down somewhere.
The
Oh god,
Just
what?
Prin.
Just print, because it has no T.
Yeah.
That's how I remember
It's in
it.
our
Just
notes.
print.
That's the only reason I know it. The Spaghetti
Uh
Detective / Just Print G code generator for 3D printers.
yes. So just print. From the looks of it, it just wrapped a GPT large language model wrapper around Orca Slicer, and you give it text inputs of I have this model. So you give it the model in the slicer. It will look at the model and you tell it what you want out of that model. So you'll say, I want this slightly strong part, or I want it to look kind of good. And then it will determine, do you need support material? Do you need to increase the strength of the part?
That's
Do
cool.
you need to rotate it? Very useful. It's very bare bones at the moment, but that is a really good tool. It's almost distilling your knowledge grant into the slicer. So it will look at the part
I do
going,
like
hey,
that. Yeah.
this is wrong.
No, like
Then it goes on to the second bit. If you print it and you don't like what it came out with,
Uh-huh.
you can then go back to it and go, it didn't look very good. It failed in this area. It wasn't strong enough. I need to have it a higher quality but also stronger. It will then go back through and change all the settings to something it believes will create a better output to what you ask it. Very cool.
That is super cool. Now, I have some concerns about it, obviously, but if you are brand new to the industry and you have no idea what to do and you're wanting to learn the slicer, holy crap, is
amazing.
That's
because you can question it about the slicer, but also the part.
Especially if it is, now if it doesn't do this, I would love it to. If it is giving you the reasoning for doing what it does.
It does.
Oh my god.
It does.
Oh, so
it will be like, I've changed wall thickness from this to this because you wanted stronger parts, walls gave me stronger. I changed infill from this to this because the hex pattern is strong. It's a very nice tool to quickly learn about what the settings do, which ones does it change, the reasoning behind what it changed, and it's strong. Now, it isn't perfect. Cool. It pushes the skill set of the user from doing the software, where your skills are learning the software, to learning how to explain what you want to do.
But that's, dude, that is so good. That's so good. That's so good. If we have more people being able to describe what they're doing, how they're doing it, and why, even if they're wrong for why they're doing it, if they understand what it is, we can help them understand the why better. Like, Spaghetti Detective / Just Prin. Also, isn't Spaghetti Detective Obico? I think.
Yes, I think they've forked it from an Obico repository.
Just Prin, if you're watching this, I don't know if this is a business or whatever, I would love to talk to you all and look at having you sponsor an episode of Print Fix Friday where we show off your software. So, unfortunately, I'm sorry, YGK, now I can't watch your video because I don't want my opinion of it to be modified until after we potentially do something with them. I will watch it at some point, But now it's on a hard hold for me because this is super cool and could be like the key to solving the major issues that we have with Print Fix Friday, which is the same stuff over and over and over and over again. Dude,
Now, I
like,
will say, at the moment,
God, that's
there
so
are
cool.
missing bits.
Sure.
Like this is a taste of how good it could be, and it's gonna get better as everything gets better. And I really want to see this developed further because it's just that bloody cool.
Yeah.
But it also highlights the areas that we can improve on, which is, say you've got a failure.
Mm-hmm.
How do you explain it to the AI? What is the failure?
Well, the
And for
spaghetti
anyone asking, the
detective.
AI I mean in this place is a large language model, ChatGPT, and it's using
Well, if you take the
the just
spaghetti
print
detective,
slicer as a tool.
the spaghetti detective has a lot of this already built into it, right? Obiko and the spaghetti detective, their entire software not only detects the print failures, but is able to identify what it's looking at. And it's not perfect, but it's pretty damn good. Like, especially like again, right? VFAs are not going to be something that your average camera can pick up and determine that your print is getting VFAs and be able to actively adjust the G code during the print. But like, oh, you forgot to put some support there. That could tell you, hey, we noticed you forgot to put support here. Here are the settings that you need to do to ensure that support material is turned on for your print in the future. Like, brother, that would be so good and so valuable for that first timer. And like we're seeing companies, so Bamboo does it, Prusa does it now too, where it's just click print, right? You go onto their, respective model repositories and you have your machine connected to the internet, connected to their varying levels of data collecting software. You tell it, I want to, for Prusa, it's called Easy Print. Great name. You say, I want Easy Print. You click the Easy Print button. Boom. Goes to your machine, starts printing. What settings does it use? I don't know. I haven't tried it.
I see this as the next level of Easy Print.
I do too. And I'm going to say, unless Prusa, for some reason, wants to sponsor a video of us testing it, I'm not going to test it because it has no particular value to me. But I think it would be kind of cool to like compare it to what I would do versus what, Prusa, what Easy Print does. But that also requires me setting up like a whole nother network and a completely separate cellular connection or something like some way for us to segment the networks. But I digress there. It is awesome for first timers that really don't want to bother with software. This idea of having an intermediary, like a digital grant, if you will,
pretty much,
to hold your hand and walk you through, even if it gets some things wrong. I get things wrong all the time. But the start of that, you want to talk about democratization of 3D printing? This is how you do it. Literally, this is the one thing that we're kind of missing to have a real world democratization of 3D printing, which is you can do it, but you still need kind of a technical background to understand the machine, to understand the software, to understand even working on the machine, like servicing it, maintaining it. This solves one of those big problems of, let's say someone who isn't technical wants to get a 3D printer because they want to integrate it into their small business, right? This solves that problem.
This is honestly where I kind of see Bamboo Lab going. Even though Bamboo Lab haven't done this, this is just an open source project. They're collecting so much data of models, locations, orientations, print settings from all the files. They have the training data starting to be formed. And eventually, honestly, this is free advice to you, Bamboo. Use that data to train something like this, where you actually have all of that data set to reinforce the learning process of whatever AI integration you want to insert.
Yeah.
You can then use that as a base, because most people are probably going to do it correctly. Even if it's not perfect all the time, you've got the data now. You can work with that. And that's where I see it going.
Yeah. Honestly, any 3D printing manufacturer out there that has the software support, you should be looking into doing something like this. If you have the throughput to do it, it's like Prusa, pay attention. Bamboo, pay attention. Creality and the others, you're just going to copy somebody else's, so pay attention to what they're doing. I'm calling a duck a duck. I'm sorry.
Half the issues I've had as a company was when somebody gets a printer, they always message back going, "Oh, the quality of the part isn't great." Nearly all the time, it's print settings. It's not the machine. It's doing what it was told, but the part that you've given it doesn't work on default settings. It needs something changing to it. This opens up a benefit to every business. It reduces the amount of support tickets needed because you've got support in the slicer.
Yeah.
It also increases the quality. It means people don't have to learn the dynamic flow rate change of pressure advance with temperature. You don't need to learn absolute knowledge just to get a print out. It does it for you. Now, this is where I see the future of additive going.
Does this run locally or does it run in the cloud?
I believe it's a GPT wrapper. I haven't checked.
Okay, so
but
cloud.
I believe it is going to a cloud service.
So
though DeepSeek R1 has already proved you can run very advanced LLM models locally. You've got a lot of the llama models you can run locally.
Oh, like llama. The only thing I know about llama is Winamp because it kicks the llama's ass.
No, so Meta, Facebook, their LLM system, which is open source, by the way, which is what a lot of the more modern LLMs are based on, is Llama, made by Meta. That you can run it locally. You can run a couple others locally. Like it just takes a lot of. People are commenting.
Some people are getting they're like, oh yeah, there's like incorrect error, clearly used Winamp back in the day. Jor Mungand says Grant is old AF. I'm 35. I'm not that old. But Winamp is still the best, 100%, and I will fight anyone that disagrees with me. Welcome back to the table, Winamp. You're welcome to come take your market share where it belongs.
But yeah, so you could run it locally. That's the end goal. Is PCs are getting more powerful. Well, LLMs are getting more efficient. There's no reason you wouldn't be able to have a local version running at some point.
I worry though that businesses, and this is always the problem that I have with AI and LLMs that don't run locally. People are stupid. They're inherently stupid. I'm stupid. You're stupid. The viewers are stupid. Everybody is inherently stupid. And because everybody is, we will make mistakes where you accidentally upload something to an AI that all of a sudden now enters its training data. So let's say I'm learning using the Spaghetti Detective /JustPrint. And I'm working on some sort of invention, right? I'm a first-time inventor. I bought my own 3D printer because I called up 3D Musketeers. They told me it was going to be a lot more money than I wanted to spend. So I said, F it, I'm going to do it myself. And because I don't know what I'm doing, I go get the Spaghetti Detective /JustPrint. Now I've uploaded my trade secret that I haven't patented yet because it's expensive, to a LLM that is now going to use that as training data. And the USPTO has not yet come out with, is uploading that kind of thing, accidentally or otherwise, to an LLM, the definition of a public disclosure. I don't know. And I worry that companies are going to do this and they're going to expose company secrets, or it's going to be as rough as the War Thunder forums, right? Where you can just go find military secrets.
Again, we are 0 days from posting military secrets on the War Thunder forum.
Yeah, like the amount of ITAR violations that occur on the War Thunder forums alone are astounding. And the amount of people
it's funny.
And yes, Carl T says someone uploads ITAR files to LLM, that's really stupid. And so is uploading them to War Thunder. but it doesn't stop people from doing
I'd
it.
actually argue War Thunder is less stupid than uploading it to an LLM. We've had very big companies just use it internally and be like, "Oh, we forgot to turn the setting off that sent it all the data back."
It's one little
There's
setting
actually a
click.
really big market for custom LLMs for factories and for
Oh
companies.
yeah,
I know Siemens, for example, has a custom one just for them
a lot of
that
them do.
only runs internally
Yes,
because it's too much of a risk otherwise. Now, there is
correct.
the other side of an LLM probably doesn't care about your one file you're going to upload because that's not how they work. They don't recall information in the same way that a human does. So if you uploaded, let's call it missile component number 3, like really super secret, you cannot let anyone take this, and you uploaded it to the LLM and it's in the data set now, you're probably still fine because it's not going to generate an output which is exactly what you just put in because it's a generalist. It will blur the lines, it will merge it into the knowledge set, and it might influence the output,
It might,
but
but
it will generally be fine.
is it a public disclosure? Right? So
I would say no, but yes.
we literally have to wait for this to become a court case and then allow the courts to decide, because that's really the only way that we can fundamentally determine, right? I look at it from like a defense contractor.
Yeah.
Upper management says we need to use AI more often, so they roll out an AI to every department. The tech department has problems with it, but they're told by upper management, we don't care, you know, this makes our team more efficient, it's fine. And then someone from the team accidentally uploads, or they don't know any better, or no training was provided. I look at the threat of AI to businesses being the fact that what was once trade secret is no longer, or could be no longer.
My gut feel is it will all come down to one decision.
Yeah.
On that initial court case. It's which AI did they upload it to. My gut feel, I could be completely wrong. Literally, this could happen in a week and they could go the other way.
If it runs
you
internally,
uploaded
it's fine.
No, not even that. If they uploaded it to, say, OpenAI, which is a closed source AI, I could see the argument that it's not a public disclosure, it was just an accidental leak. But if it was, say, uploaded to a Llama model or a Claude model, which are, the datasets are available and they are given, then that is public disclosure because it's a public dataset. So I would say it all depends on which one they upload it to when the law gets made. If it was OpenAI, I could see they would say, oh, no, it's not that, and then it's fine. And if it goes the other way, they'll go, oh, it is that, and then it's fine.
That also requires
I am not a lawyer. This is not legal advice, by the way.
Well, it literally requires the lawyers, the judges, the jury. It requires everybody associated with the case to actually understand this, because otherwise we get pretty like out of touch responses, which that never happens in the legal system. They're always experts on everything, and they never make decisions that are based on their own internal realized biases rather than the actual thing that's occurring. Because
I'm just getting flashbacks to when Mark Zuckerberg was in the US Senate, and they were just asking him such asinine questions about Facebook, and I'm like, did anyone even sit the senators or the legal team down to go, maybe you shouldn't ask stupid questions?
No, but if we did that, we'd have a much better political system in the United States, period, regardless of who you want in office.
Yeah.
Where Chris Catlett is saying, this is why services like Copilot, where all the data stays inside of your tenant, become more valuable. You have full control over the governance. 100% I agree with this, up until the point that there becomes some sort of vulnerability, a 0 day that Microsoft doesn't know about, that all of a sudden opens those data sets to be accessed by people outside of like the governance, if you will. but that is always the concern when you utilize a service that is not somehow in-house built. Now, in that particular case, Microsoft becomes the thing that deals with the problem, right? No longer it becomes a company problem. Like the ITAR violation is no longer on the company, it's on Microsoft. And well, Microsoft's got enough money to make ITAR violations disappear. So, and apparently it's available in GCC and GCC High. I don't know what that means, but I'm assuming that is some sort of, high level security, air gap, yada yada. Okay, extra classified. Okay. I hate acronyms, and like the military is full of them, and it bothers me because I'm like, just tell me what it is. We are not under such a time crunch that you can't describe you can't call it a large language model.
Tactical. It's just
multimodal. I found myself using the terminology multimodal, and the only time that I hear it said is in military stuff. Like,
it's why I love using the word suboptimal, just to mean we've done it bad.
Not great. Or the word tremendous is one that is used heavily in the military world, rather than another term for something being good, cool, whatever. They use the word tremendous. So when I talk with people that express a background in the military, it's like I'm kind of code switching to be a little bit more of like that military vocabulary, but the average person won't even notice it. The average military individual will recognize it and be like, oh, he gets it. And it's not even something that you intrinsically, it's like you naturally just do it because it's part of the deal. Winslow Joy says we have books that define acronyms. Yeah, but I don't want to have to like thumb through a 300-page book.
Look, the problem with the acronyms isn't the acronyms. It's that you just have way too many that have the same acronym.
It's fair. That's fair.
Like,
then there's the whole German
language. If I have to look at a lookup book to find acronyms, then it's too many acronyms.
If it requires me to have like a Game of Thrones level flowchart for what things mean, it's too much. But we at 3D Musketeers, we handle so many different customers in industries and different segments of the world that we work in. It's common that because I can be on a call on one monitor, the other monitor's over to Google, like, what the hell does this acronym mean? So I can, look like I know what I'm talking about. Sometimes I just ask because it's more fun to ask if they're clearly into it, but sometimes I just look it up. That way I don't have to derail the conversation. And that's reality.
What, us derailing conversations? No, that never happens.
No, we never do that. We never derail conversations. No. We are always on topic. That's why we're definitely not looking for editors. By the way, I haven't mentioned it, but there is a finder's fee, or a bounty, we should say, if you refer an editor to us, who we end up hiring, that stays with us for 30 days, we will pay you a $500 bounty. US dollars, I should state. Because currency matters.
That's not one big bounty chocolate bar. That's actual money.
Bounty makes, like, washing soap.
Oh my god.
Bounty makes chocolate next time in the UK.
When you come to Smurf,
like,
we're getting you a bounty
dude,
bar.
They make paper towels. Their jingle's great. The quicker picker-upper bounty. The quilted quicker picker-upper is actually their.
I think I have actually.
They've got a whole jingle. The quilted quicker picker-upper bounty. Like, they've got a whole jingle for it, and it's a good enough jingle that most of you were already singing it and calling me out for messing it up the first time. So that tells you how good of a jingle it was. Bounty is a chocolate with coconut in it.
I'm sending you a picture.
Those are mounds. In the U.S., we have mounds. Those are right? Are mounds the chocolate with, or are those almonds? Bounty.
I'm judging very happy
Mars
right
bars.
now.
Yeah, Mars bars. Mars bars have the coconut, I think.
No.
Yeah, No. What has the coconut in the U.S.?
That's nougat.
Nougat.
It's not Coke. Yeah. You American.
Wait a minute. What is the U.S. candy that has... Almond Joy has nuts, Mounds don't. Okay, I was right. I was right.
Wait,
Mounds.
does
Okay.
Mars bar have a different name in America?
Bounty is a Mounds bar. Okay. Bounty is in the US. It's just niche. Mounds are dark chocolate. Almond Joy has nuts. Uh, are what in the US?
Milky Way US is a Mars bar. You get no, we get Milky Way and Mars bars, and they are different.
View at your own risk with a $10 or $9.99. Thank you very much. Says, for AI Slicer to truly work, I need to be able to tell it and show it exactly which part of the model failed and why it's a fail. Then the fixed
Oh
data would be the
wow!
specific and grow the AI quickly. Yes, I agree with that. I think we both agree with that. Are we finding how different the candies are just from
Your
their
Milky,
brands?
you've got a Milky Way bar.
Yeah.
That is different to our Milky Way bar.
Our Milky Way is
Your Milky Way bar looks like a Mars bar, but we have a Milky Way bar which is very different. I'm now just
they're
sending
totally
Grant
different.
pictures of. I'm sending Grant pictures of chocolate bars.
Yeah.
Just constantly now.
No,
this is such a
you're
scuffed
aware.
stream.
You're aware of the Smartie difference, right? The Smarties in the U.S. versus the Smarties everywhere else in the world.
No.
The Smarties in the
How could
U.S.
they be
are like a
different?
chalky, hard candy. The Smarties everywhere else are basically like a thick-shelled M&M.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nope. Smarties in the U.S. We need to make a list of candy that's different, and then the next time we get together, we just film ourselves trying the opposites candy for that, and just do.
Your candy.
Because
sucks.
I'm going to win this. Yeah, I'm gonna win this because my candy's terrible and yours is great. But I want to see your reaction to it all.
We need to clip that bit where you got the Insta360 out when we were in Sweden, and me and I always pronounce his name wrong. Jimmy, the dude, big dude. Oh man, like we need to clip when we try your bloody strawberry licorice bars and we just die on the inside.
You hated it so much. It was great though.
I couldn't even hate it. I hate it because there's nothing. It's flavorless. Except it's 180 calories and it's flavorless.
Twizzlers in the US are pretty flavorless. Doug Dreams Void with the £2 saying to aid Jacob in replenishing their brain cells. So it's a good time to remind people to like the stream. 86 likes, 127 watching. Yeah, see, you all think we don't have a food podcast, but here we are. It's a food podcast. Yeah, Bounty's like a paper towel and dishwash and clothes wash company, but primarily they're paper towels.
I wish I never knew that.
Ooh, does that mean you have to try the paper towels and I get to try the candy?
No.
It might taste better than some American candy.
Actually, it would probably taste better than those bloody strawberry licorice, whatever they were.
Oh, just wait till you try U.S. Smarties. I hate U.S. Smarties. They're so bad. Amber likes them. I don't like them.
Was it as bad as the sweets Amber gave Mum? After you did the factory tour last day, dropped you off at the hotel, Amber had some American hard-ish candies.
I don't remember.
Mom, I wish Mum actually didn't react the way she did because it was so funny.
Oh no,
but she kept them in her mouth
so she could spit them out
because she couldn't swallow it.
Beautiful.
It was apparently that bad.
Beautiful.
And then the moment she left, she's like, just all the way down the stairs going.
Oh, I'm fine.
And then into a bush on the outside. It was hilarious.
Totally fine with that.
Actually, I ate all of them. They were bad, but they weren't that bad. The strawberry was good.
So where do we sit with, I love this idea of a slicer with an integrated LLM. And I don't even mind it being cloud-based. But
This is just the slicer. This is one segment of the whole.
I know, but this to me is like what AI to me, I see a lot of value. The thing that I want is I want a dedicated AI button so I can turn it on or off. And every time you turn it on, you have to accept that it is going to send your model data, your G code, whatever it needs to send to a cloud service, to a GPT, to whatever. That way you can't complain and say, I didn't know. You click the button, screw you, you knew, and if you didn't read it, That's your fault, not anybody else's. I love that. I think that kind of covers the who's at fault. Because if you provide enough, you sure you want to do that, bud? You sure you want to do that? And people are like, yep, nope, still good. And they do it. I say, look, you have the ability to turn it on. Then when you go to use it, you must accept the terms and conditions that pop up every single time you go to use it for the first time. And
fair, that wouldn't be very hard to implement.
It's not at all. Yeah, it is an auto opt-out. You must opt in for every model that you do it on. I think that covers, and I'm not a lawyer, but from the reasonable person standard, I believe, as a somewhat reasonable person, that fulfills the reasonable person standard for the law, that you have given them enough opportunity to say, I shouldn't do this. They still chose to do it. You are not at fault. But I'm not an attorney. This is not legal advice. This is a cat. That's a reference that only some people will get.
I feel like this stream is 100% just an acid trip the entire time
and
today.
Yet I took my meds today.
Look, after this stream, I'm going to need to take some meds. I'm losing it.
Oh, and apparently the Smarties in the US are called rockets everywhere else.
I would have no idea.
Okay, whatever.
Also, I see Carl's Tea post about not taking food recommendations from countries that eat bean on toast. That's just because your beans suck. They're bad.
I don't actually mind beans on toast. It's pretty good.
Have you tried British Heinz beans on toast?
Yes, I don't mind it. I like it.
Good. There you go.
K2 brings up a phenomenal point. Just give me a checkbox to not ask ever again. Totally fine. If you want to click don't ask ever again, that's fine. But now what you've done is you've accepted that risk. And now it's your problem. And so, oh man, even at that point, I might say you need to be logged in to some extent so that it's now user fault. But I'm looking at it from like a business perspective, where a business probably isn't going to do this anyways. They'll just hire engineers that know what they're doing. Yeah. I do want to point something out since K2 is here. Oh my God, the maker chips that are being made for the Japan Maker Faire. Holy crap. They are so cool. There's one that like has legs that fold out. This is a 40mm coin. Has legs that fold out. There's one where it's printed in place with gears. There is...
So they made a Bakugan out of a maker coin.
Yes. A Bionicle out of a maker coin, if you want to be even cool.
I mean, Bakugan are already pretty
they're
cool.
maker chips. I want to be clear with that. The technical term is maker chip. K2 has coined that.
Yeah. We call them maker crisps in the UK, just for reference.
Oh my gosh. Kevin, can we please do a funny little maker crisps and just to make fun of the UK? Please, we need to do that. Oh my gosh. Dude, after seeing the amount of customization that some of these people have gone through, and of course, it had to be the ones in Japan that are like the most ridiculous custom designs I've ever seen. I'm like, I'm now, like, I was a little intimidated previously with doing this. I'm like, I have to have something cool. Now I'm like, well, crap, I'll never get that good. I'll never be that good. Like, dude, some of these were so good. And just, my mind was blown with how good these were. This is where you're taking design. The box is not even in the same zip code. I wholeheartedly support these insane level maker chips. I now want to make one, but I'm not skilled enough to do it. This is where I would use an AI design to help me like make this, and instead I'm just going to ask our engineering team because I have an engineering team to ask instead. But it is tremendous to me to see it, and they're all print in place, right? I would have thought that one that has articulating, it's got 2-section articulation. Okay, it's not just like, oh, it's got a ball and socket you can just rotate like a, no, it has a knee joint too. They've gone the extra distance. It blows my mind. 10 out of 10. Way too many notes. Way too many notes. And K2 was nice enough to actually provide me with the 3D Musketeers maker chip that he made during a live stream. So I do have that. But now I want to like make it super effing cool. And I just don't know how. And now, if I had done it where I thought it was cool before I saw all the ones from Japan, I would still be jealous, but I'd be like, yeah, but mine's still pretty cool. I need to find the original maker chips that we used to make before K2 even did this. Like, I started doing them in 2011 on a full color sandstone powder 3D printer. I'll have to find some. I know I have some that are still good. I have a bag of them that are still raw. Raw looks very, very dull because they're not coated in super glue. But I don't have any big bottles of super glue anymore, and consumer grade super glue, you don't do this with it. It doesn't work. Well, it works. It smokes. It catalyzes too quickly. Anyways, I have to find some, and I need to remember because I need to give one to Kevin. He needs to have one of these. Because he's the reason that this whole thing came back. I was doing them back in the day because I thought it was a cool little thing that I could give to people. But it's just, oh, dude, it's super cool.
I need to make one eventually. I've been holding off making mine until we finish our own AMS because I want to do it on our equipment. But the temptation to do it just on anything is growing real hard, real fast.
Yeah. I've been very hesitant on the maker chips. I've kind of made my point on them that
they're niche. They don't actually do anything, but they're nice
to
have.
As a business, I believe they hurt if I give them out to people that aren't into 3D printing because they won't understand what goes into it.
That's it. You've hit on the nail on the head. It's a nod to the 3D printing community that you only give to people from the 3D printing community.
Now, if you have someone that's like, dude, this is so cool, but like, instead of giving you a business card, let me give you something else, or I'll give you this and a business card. It is a great takeaway item for people that are heavily interested in 3D printing. It is a kind of iffy takeaway item for those that don't understand it. Right?
Yeah.
What I do want to do is I want to work with the Hard Rock, because we have a Hard Rock casino locally, and see if I can film a private game of like blackjack or poker, and I go all in, but the entire stack is maker chips as a joke for like a bit in a video. I think that'd be really funny. I definitely don't think they'll be down for it, but it would be super funny if you could do it. But dude, like internally inside the 3D printing industry at shows, oh my God, they are phenomenal. They are so good. If we go to Murph, I won't have any for Murph. But for 3D Printopia, we are planning on having some for 3D Printopia. So there's that. Moving past it, though, because we are, of course, tangenting once again. But that is, part and parcel.
You know what we should have? We should have a tangents this episode counter.
No, because we're going to forget to update it. Then we're going to tangent about whether we've updated it or not.
No, we let the community update it.
That's dangerous.
It'll be funny.
All of a sudden, it ends up at 69 every single episode. And then it becomes our goal to make it 69 every episode.
Good engagement.
If they count, you guys can count in the chat. You can count in the chat. I don't want to count on screen. That starts to get dangerous for us. So, what about AI for 3D modeling? I think we both can agree that AI for slicing tremendous, has a lot of value in it. But what
And I
about...
should caveat that it shouldn't replace the human-built slicing algorithms.
Correct.
It should just be a tool to access them better.
It is an augmentation,
Yeah.
right? Quite frankly, like a lot of slicers, like Prusa has the beginner, intermediate, and advanced, or expert mode, I think is what they call it. In expert
Yep.
mode, I think it should be deactivated.
That makes sense. I would agree with that.
Now that's more personal than anything else, because like I don't like that, because I feel like it can be used as a crutch. But if it would also like suggest classes or lessons, like free lessons that you could watch and learn more about it, dude, 100% love it. But how do you feel
It's modern Clippy. It's just modern.
It's modern
Clippy,
Clippy, yeah. How do you feel about AI being used in 3D model generation?
Now it does depend on when we're going. Are we going CAD or are we going more art, like sculpture?
Let's start with CAD, and then we'll do opinions on art and sculpture.
I think for CAD, while it's not there yet, AI will probably completely both destroy and revolutionize the design workflow. What I envision is a lot of the engineers that did make things now act almost like project managers, and they have to control the AI to give an output it needs, and then they go in at some step to fix the thing.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, CAD is just math. I mean, literally, like step files are just really small math files to make a 3D model based on mathematical equations. Give it enough time, and AI will definitely be able to work out the steps it needs to do using tools made for it so it can generate models. Hell, it could even probably take an already done 3D design and edit it to what you need. Now, if that is in a style that isn't yours or in a format that you don't like, that's really not part of the question, because that's again going back to the art versus artist conversation, where the artist makes the decisions, the art can just be whatever you typed in. But I do think AI will, probably within the next 5 years, hopefully less, be the thing that sends 3D printing into the stratosphere. Because once you have infinite design, because that's what AI will be, when it's at a good enough level of quality, the boundary for getting a design made drops considerably. You don't need to be an engineer anymore that knows how to use Fusion. You just go, beep boop, here's a picture, or here is a requirement. I need 2 links that do this, and it's going to be made in this process and this material. That is good enough to make your design. That now needs to be made.
Yep.
I think that's super strong, because the moment you have people going, oh, I need this custom thing made because AI generated it for you, well, they have to get it made, and there's not many people that make things. But
Like one of
printers
these
make things all the time.
One of these deburring tools, right? This is one of the plastic deburring tools. They're not the most comfortable thing in the world to use. So if I wanted to make a grip for it, I can, but it's complicated. If you don't know how to use CAD, taking a photo of this, uploading it, converting that into CAD, then saying, make me a grip that would fit a, human hand to hold it in this position. There is value to that. But I worry, similar to how we're seeing AI in business right now, where initially larger companies are going to say, oh, this is going to replace engineering, fire all the engineers. And then 6 months down the road, when they're having huge issues because the people they've hired to basically be that are giving the AI the prompts, right? The prompt writers, they're not getting the kind of quality that the engineers can. Now they have to backtrack and bring in the engineers again. I think we're going to see some issues in baseline CAD, but like the vast majority of phone calls that we get is 3D Musketeers are people that do not need professional engineering services. They want it, but they don't recognize what professional engineering services cost. If there was an AI that I could send somebody to and say, yeah, give it a few different photos with a ruler in it, and it will generate you an
It will
STL file.
do the thing.
Don't even give you a step file. Give you an STL file. That'd be great. That would solve so much of the issues that we see in this kind of baseline, I have broken thing, I need good thing.
So you said something, and I really want to highlight it because it's something I don't think you realized has a lot of complexity in one sentence.
Yeah, the
I
multiple
don't want
photos and stuff.
No,
Oh.
that's easier than you think.
Okay.
I don't want a step file. I want an STL file.
Well, an OB.
Do you know why they are very different?
Well, a step file is parametric surfaces and solids versus a step file versus an STL file, which is your triangulated surface tessellation, right? ST and STL is surface tessellation. So instead of big, base parts that can be redesigned and worked on, you get a surface made up of tris and quads. Right?
Yes, and that is why I wanted to focus on it.
That's easier than you think, though. Steps are difficult.
It's actually the other way around.
Really? Because Geomagic Design X says otherwise. Well, all of my scanners can get... No, screw you. I'm talking. Because I have experience in this BS, and I'm upset.
I know. You're right, but also wrong, which is what makes it so good. Because tessellating a file is the easy stuff, but tessellating it good becomes harder.
It doesn't need to be
good. Step files are, because they are parametric, it's easier to let an AI use a tool using a step file than it is to make a tessellated object in the same way that you need. If you told a computer in like a year's time, make a cube with a hole in the middle, the step file will come out better. But the tessellated file might round the edges a bit because it's tessellating them. It has to make that decision on every facet.
Fine.
The step file only makes it on a math algorithm of 4 lines.
I will agree on simple. I will agree on simple CAD. But if you present me a object with more organic shapes to it...
Oh, then it's pure tessellation.
Okay. All right. See, that's where I was going. Okay, we had a fundamental misunderstanding there. See?
And the reason being is all because math. If you can mathematically figure it out in simple steps, the step file will win. If it's more, I scanned a person and I need a CAD file, oh god, do not do that in a step file. That is a tessellated file.
That's a lot of what we have to do here, where we have big, crazy, complex stuff, and we have to make a step, we have to scan it and then make a step file out of it. There is one program out there to do it right now that does it in any way decent. It is $10,000 a year. It's Geomagic Design X. Chris Callis says Geomagic is $17,000. That is for Control X. They are separate softwares. There's Geomagic Design X and Geomagic Control X. That's $10,000 or $17,000 per year. Now, it was just sold to Hexagon from 3D Systems, so I don't know what's going to change about it. But, like, dude, that's a problem in this industry, and it's why 3D scanners are not as clean cut and dry as people think. And it is so frustrating. Like, why can't you just 3D scan and modify it? Because you're missing the part that makes it modifiable. You need to turn it into a step file to make the change that you want. If all you need, like the company that does the hearing protectors, if all you need to do is merge 2 3D models together, then it is totally acceptable to use STL and OBJ files. If you need to modify sizing on things, it needs to be a step file, unless it's going to be an absolute nightmare in something like Blender.
But to be fair, that's coming a lot quicker than people think. Like, eventually, tessellated files will be editable super easily because the AIs that are learning to use the tool sets will be able to just be like, I'm just going to use Blender, do a program that has been coded by my AI overlord, and then apply it via Blender to get a tessellated file change out of it. But that is much further off than people assume. Step files will come first. Tessellated files has that initial adoption where it's easy enough to go from picture to tessellation and retessellate. But going from tessellation to editable tessellation or doing cool things with it, that's going to take a lot more time than going from step files, which is basically impossible at the moment, and then it's suddenly going to just work.
Like, if you can build some sort of AI that will take a 3D scan data, process it locally, because I will not do cloud-based processing, process it locally, and I don't care if it takes longer, don't care. And you can do that for STL files or OBJ files from 3D scanners and give a step file out of it. You have a $5,000. You could eat at least half of the market of Geomagics by making it $5,000 a year. And Geomagics has a fair bit of subscribers. It is like, that's the kind of stuff that starts to worry me, because like, we've seen consumer grade scanners get better and better and better, but the one thing they miss is like the certifications. So like my Shining 3D Einstar goes blow to blow, toe to toe every single day with my Artec Eva, a scanner that is 20 times the price, with a software that costs more than a Shining 3D Einstar every single year. The one thing outside the software is objectively better on Artec side, and it should be, because it's money. Shining 3D software is free. But the one thing that Artec has that Shining 3D doesn't, certified. Certified, certified, certified.
Now, that's a really interesting point, because it's almost impossible to certify an AI. As in, I'd actually stand by, it is impossible to certify an AI because they are statistic models. And the way certifications work at the moment is it has to be a guarantee. Well, unless they're willing to change the definition of what a guarantee is to they guarantee 9 out of 10 times it will work, it's almost impossible to certify AI, because you cannot guarantee the output. They are not state machines. You cannot state in, state out. They are the question mark that 99.9% of the time might be right. It's that 0.1% of the time which makes it impossible to certify as a tool.
Could it get there? Or could it get good enough that it doesn't matter anymore?
And that's the bit. Where is the line of good enough to be certified versus the definition of certified?
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, there's so many opportunities here where AI can fill in the gaps that we have right now. Like, even if we took like a GPT and trained it on nothing but Print Fix Friday.
To be fair, that is a lot more standard than you think, because
I'm sure.
most of the bigger advancements in AI are all large language models.
But
they are transformer-based stuff. There's not much going on in the diffusion from what I've seen. Again, I'm out of touch. So
I'm just
it wouldn't be too hard to do that.
I look at it from a use case perspective of, can that, like, what is the value that presents? Where you can show it a photo of a print failure and it gives you things of what it could be. There's no guarantee. But see, print failures, there are so many exterior stimuli and factors that can impact a print. Like,
I want to break down that.
Okay.
I want to break that down. So you just said, show a photo to get the output. That has 3 stages, maybe 4 stages. One is the photo.
Yes.
You upload a photo.
Yes.
You then need image recognition.
Yes.
So image recognition is a completely different side thing. You now need to train an image of what the issues are, so it can recognize those issues.
Yeah.
And that can just be like a adversarial neural network, something like that, where you highlight the area of an issue and then a human comes in and prompts it, and it's like, this bit here is this. That is very much closer to the state machines that can be certified, and that is just machine learning. So you'll give it, like, I don't know, probably like a visual slam model or probably like a YOLO model, and then it can segment a picture. So take me, for example, you get a cutout of me,
right,
and then a cutout of my shirt, and it can go shirt, human, lights behind, monitor, like those sort of things. that needs to be trained on its own as a tool. Once you have that output, you then need to feed that to another separate AI, and then that can then take the input, which is your segmented picture, and go, oh, you have this issue, therefore I'm going to go through my transformer generation sequence to give you possible fixes. And then that will give you possible fixes. Then it can use another tool to then access the slicer to go, these are the settings you need to do to change that. So it's not just throw an image in, it gives you an output. It's almost like you're using a group of tools, which is an AI based for image recognition, an AI based for understanding what the image recognition is, and then an AI based for controlling another tool to go into the slicer. It's very complex.
But
The current stage of it is very complex.
But the image recognition is not too far off. I mean, the examples that I've seen from Spaghetti Detective, Obiko, whatever, are very good. Like, it's able in real time.
I think they're even using out of date models. I think the model Spaghetti Detective is using is a fairly lightweight, small one.
Well, because it's designed to run on a freaking Pi. Of course, it has to be like
yeah, that. I think it was like YOLO 4, which is you only look once, like a YOLO 4 Lite version. And there is some very optimized ones. So one of the projects I was going to be doing, I have to filter quite a lot of what I say because it's under NDA, as well as it's a bit defense related. But the long story short was how to use photo input from a device that could spot people at very far distances for robot stuff.
I can talk about one much more cleanly because I see them all the time when I go to tech shows. Because this is an American problem, of course. The ability to detect firearms from Nerf blasters and hand signals and things like that for schools. So an AI system to determine someone who's like a school safety officer, so a cop that is carrying a firearm, that to not be a threat. And what they do is they train the person's face. And they say, okay, facial recognition can tell me this person is not a threat. But if someone is impersonating a police officer, now we have a problem. But be able to determine from a distance, like when they're on the property, then they're walking up and they've got something that could look like a firearm, to set off warning signals immediately, have a human verify it. And in the event that its accuracy is like, okay, we are 99.99%, just instantly lock it down. No human intervention, lock it down. And then a human can say, nope, that's just a Nerf blaster. And they can pull the lockdown. Because this is a uniquely American problem, right?
Yep.
The value of AI there, tremendous. And the ability to train it on firearms, tremendous. I love that ability for AI. When we look at doing it for 3D modeling beyond CAD, when we look at the organic style like ZBrush and Nomad Sculpt, like that kind of 3D modeling, I start to get a little bit upset because we really we're devaluing the time of those that are professionally trained, professionally everything, right? Like, we're removing their value and they know it. And so the idea of the starving artist once again becomes the reality. And I don't like that. And
we are heading into a very weird time where a lot of the jobs that are the backbone of industry are going to be consumed by AI.
At least initially.
And yeah, it's pretty much an eventuality at this stage, is as AI develop. Now, bear in mind, so one of the things that a lot of scientists are unsure about is where on the AI development scale are we actually sitting? So they love throwing out the word sigmoid curve, which is this lovely S-shaped curve where you start developing something, it takes a while, then suddenly money gets injected, it develops really fast, and then you get towards the end of development, and then it peters off. So take of it like steel. Nobody used steel eventually. It was always Iron Age and Copper Age and all of this. And then steel started to be used and it started to tick up. And then everyone's like, steel is great. We can make steam engines and steam turbines and swords. And it shot up. And then we're at that latter end. We're over here now, where we now know pretty much everything there is to know about material science relating to steel. There is pretty much no more advancements we can make because we have tried everything. Unless we somehow make new elements that physically can't exist,
Right.
we've tried every combination of every steel of everything. For AI, we don't know where on the sigmoid curve we are. We could be still right at the bottom, where we haven't even started to see the development of AI.
Quite frankly,
We could be like looking at the light bulb being invented and being like, we're finished, we're done, it's all that.
well,
We
it's
could be down
probably
here.
it's hardware limited, I assume, right? Like
We don't know.
we don't know.
There is multiple research papers about hardware versus efficiency or the type. So take large language models at the moment, which is what everybody knows, big server farms, billions of dollars being pumped into electricity to calculate all of this. And they're like, oh yeah, if we need more compute, we just build more.
Yeah,
well, what if you make the algorithm twice as efficient? Like micro changes, like you save 2 milliseconds per transaction and suddenly you've halved the complexity of the program without changing hardware. So you've got software development as part of that curve. You've also got hardware.
Yeah.
We're now... What measurement of size is used in your CPU?
Nanometer.
Not anymore. We're in Armstrong now. We've gone low enough. We're in Armstrong units. The new CPUs are on Armstrong production numbers, not nanometer. We are sub 2 nanometer. Sub 2 nanometer, meaning we've changed the number. We're on A, big A.
It's angstrom, by the way. I'm pretty certain it's angstrom.
Oh, I dyslexic. It doesn't matter. Screw you.
I'm like,
but the point
I
being
feel
is
like he's talking about angstrom. And
yeah,
yes,
probably.
SoundSpark agrees. It's angstrom.
But the point being is like, then you've got hardware improvements. So you could double your compute in the same space, or you could double the amount that way. So you've got all of these things that are nebulously going along. That's just compute, how much you have available. Efficiency of the program is how much compute you need to get the output. But now there's new questions, which is where is the end of that? Because DeepSeek notoriously came out and they're like, we trained the same quality as GPT-4 for 1/10 of the cost with just a more efficient method of doing the training.
Right.
And then you have a process called grokking, which is not related to the Elon Musk Grok AI. It's if you train an AI to a certain point, it learns really quickly and then it kind of stops and then it overfits. And if it overfits, it's bad because now the quality is really low. Well, somebody was like, well, what happens if we just keep training it? And then they started seeing it ticks up again. And then it goes higher than it was previously. So now you have this like double curve of quality, but you need 10 times to 100 times the amount of compute to get to that level. So there's a big cost in it. We have no idea on that sigmoid curve of AI development if we're in the middle, where it's developing really quickly, if we are right at the start, where one small change to an algorithm can explode everything, or we're right at the end, where we found the limit of what the technology is available. Like, if we add more compute, which is what a lot of people thought with grokking, was you saw it overfit. They were like, well, you can't compute past that. Well, now you can compute past it. So we don't even know where the end is. We could be anywhere in this curve, and that is scary. And we don't know what the time length is. Like, it could be a very shallow sigmoid curve, or it could be a very steep sigmoid curve where it just suddenly jumps up. We have no idea.
I think it will
and that's the scary beauty of it.
The thing that will start, I think, to kind of tell me where we are is the movie industry. When we start to see animation rely much less on 3D modelers, right? You know, we saw the shift from, you know, the stop motion animation to, you know, 3D animation in movies, will we see, like, when will we see the first movie fully generated, like all the special effects fully generated in AI? And when will we see studios start to go after the designers, the creators, in favor of the technicals that are very good at giving prompts? And I think that's where we'll start to see that tipping point. Now, what's interesting to me is that that entire industry, the entire movie industry, is unionized here in the United States. So,
Ironically, now this is a complete personal thing. I've not read this anywhere. I think unions will just disappear once AI becomes big enough. Because,
not in the US.
well, the reason being is, why watch a Pixar film where you've got a big union film being made when, if AI does get good enough, you could just have one guy with that idea in his head and do the same thing. Like, it will stop being able to be unionized because the accessibility of it will be very easy. So now the creative that has that vision to make the perfect film will spend the time and effort to use it on AI, whereas the unions will try to slow down the adoption, which actually I believe will be bad because it leaves everyone else that it just wants to
It
do
might
the
stifle
thing
the
time to do the
innovation.
thing. Exactly. So instead of allowing the industry to shift into a more AI accepting role, they're going to be like, no, films are made with people, they're made with on camera thing, and it's just going to disappear because it's going to be overtaken so quickly with a technology that they are fundamentally not wanting because it does threaten the current job ecosystem. I'm not saying it's not something to be scared of. It is something to be scared of. I think a lot of jobs are on the line, and I think the industries we live in at the moment are going to be fundamentally either impossible to maintain or destroyed when AI becomes big enough.
I mean, James Kerbel's literally asking the question that I had in my pocket here. Is the big scary question is, where do all these people go who lose their jobs? And
Exactly.
that's,
We have no idea.
we don't know. And I believe the mass adoption of AI is pushing us closer and closer and closer to the reality of Idiocracy, the movie. If you haven't seen that movie, go watch it and just really wonder how it was so far ahead for its time. And also remember, that was the first time Crocs were ever used in a movie because they found a footwear they thought was so ridiculous nobody would ever buy it. And then ask yourself how many pairs of Crocs that you own. My answer is 0. But go watch
How
that
many
movie.
knockoff Crocs do you have?
None. I don't have any.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no,
Wow,
I
you
don't
got
have
away
any.
with it.
No, I have like one pair of flip-flops and that's it. But you know, I worry that we inch ever closer to that, because at least here in the United States, that's what capitalism wants. Capitalism wants idiots that buy because of marketing. They don't want an educated buyer. An educated buyer makes decisions based on more technical things. They want people that follow brands. They want brand loyalty the way that you see arguments on Reddit. Okay? That's
Mm.
what they want.
Now, I actually want to bring up something that Mike Jones just put in, which is AI will free people from robot work. I strongly agree with this. There are so many jobs, even well-paid jobs, that I don't believe people should be doing. Like, let's boil it back down. Let's go to the level of, you are a cashier. You stand because apparently America doesn't allow seats.
Some stores
Go
do, but most
figure.
don't.
You stand at a checkout, you move one arm, you go beep, you ask for money. That is your job. That is not a fulfilling job. That
No.
is a complete waste of humans' potential to create works of art, to design, to have social interactions that are memorable in their lives. I am more than happy watching a lot of these jobs disappear, even though it will destroy people's lives in the process. And it's going back to film and industry. How many people in the film and industry are currently burnt out, overworked, underpaid? On top of that, they're doing menial tasks like rotoing blades of grass in a film just so they can make this really nice thing, and then they will ship it off to a foreign country anyway because they need that profit, because that's all that they care about. Like, that isn't good for human psychology. It's not good for the human mind. It's not a good use of the skills of the actual artists that know how to make works of art, and they're being told, hey, just paint a blade of grass in there and do that 50 million times because that's the job for today. I just, it does hurt me as much as it excites me, because it will free people from the mundane whilst also destroying any of the creative side that they would have been doing in the first place. I have no idea what stance I should take other than
I don't like
uh,
it. So, like, and I guess it's different here in the US that we have people working what we might consider as an AI replaceable job, mainly because they get healthcare. And I recognize that outside of the United States, that's not something that people will do because you have government provided healthcare. In the United States, we don't have it. And you might say, but Grant, what about, the American Health Care Act or Obamacare, right? You can actually be too poor to get assistance. There is a line, and if you make less than that line, you don't get any assistance. You're literally too poor to get assistance. So a lot of people will go work day jobs, especially creatives. They'll go work day jobs that they detest because they're worried about getting into a car accident, getting sick, breaking a bone, where that would put them in so much debt financially that no matter how creative they are, it would change the course of their life. And it would not change it in a productive
hmm.
and useful way. I mean, literally, I am here today with YouTube because I couldn't walk, because I got injured. I said, well, I'm just going to share my passion with the world. Would that have happened had it not been for that injury? I don't know. Maybe because, during the 2020 era, right? I might have just still done it, but I don't think it would have happened as soon as it did. I look at people in different countries, and I think that the reasons for some of those jobs, like in the States, you see a lot of young people doing them because they need a job to make some extra cash.
Yep.
When we were traveling, I noticed it was a lot of elderly. It was people that we would consider more toward retirement age that were doing it for what I assume was because they were bored and they wanted to do something. And if they could make a little cash doing it to support going on vacation, going on holiday, that would make sense. While I don't disagree that AI could replace some of those jobs, I worry about the future generations in the United States or in countries that don't have a more, I'm going to use the broad term of socialized healthcare. This is
Mm.
not to be political, but it's a generalized term. I worry about the people that are doing those jobs to get the healthcare and the help that they need, that all of a sudden won't be hireable anymore. And I worry about that. I worry as a business
Mm.
owner. And it's why, as a business at 3D Musketeers, we do our best to say no. If staff want to use AI as a means of inspiration, as a means of whatever, go ahead. But it is not something that we use as an end product. Even when we were doing a lot of our articles on our website via AI, they were still processed by humans. They were still read by humans, edited by humans. All the SEO was made better by humans. Like, we did this as a means so that we could maintain these skills. And it upsets me that capitalism says I should fire those jobs, I should learn how to do it myself, or pay someone half the amount of money to do it for me. And I worry so much about the future because I know businesses are going to do this, and it's going to happen where we have an entire generation of people that never had
Mm.
those crappy jobs where they learned about customer service the hard way.
We live in such, I hate this saying, we live in interesting times.
We do.
and I hate that it's true. As a society, we've never experienced this level of technological growth. We've never experienced this level of employment upsetting like technology. And where previously, actually, I can't even say previously, there is an accelerationist argument, which is every new technology destroys jobs, but it creates just as many jobs. I think it was Jormungand who said it earlier. But it was uh, where did all of the horseshoe makers go when cars came out?
Yeah.
And that is a good example, but it's also used badly with accelerationists, where they're like, well, don't worry about the jobs it upsets because it's going to make new jobs. When robots came out, it made more jobs on the
It made more
technician
jobs in
side.
engineering and that side of
Yeah,
things. But those
and
people that were
we're
making
fundamentally at a different stage of technology now. We are now
yeah.
not at a improvement of a thing and the jobs have changed. We are now actually starting to enter the jobs are just going to disappear to automated intelligence systems. And that is the death of a lot of jobs that there isn't going to be replacements for. And that's what makes it scary. We have no idea where it's going to go.
Well,
But
what will happen, right? Like what we've seen with the and I'm going to use a very real example because it's an example that's kind of near and dear to me. With the advent of the quartz clock movement, mechanical clocks stopped really being a thing. People will give and get mechanical clocks like from Germany, from the Black Forest, cuckoo clocks specifically from that area. You'll get people that collect old mechanical clocks, but horologist, yes, that's an actual thing. That is a professional clockmaker, or you know, someone who services clocks. That entire industry is dying. There is one clock shop left in Tampa. It is Boyd Clocks. They've been around for 77 years this year. David Boyd is the owner. His father was a polio survivor. Iron lung polio, right? Like, to give you an idea of how long ago this was, Dave is getting to a point where, like, literally people that work there are dying. They're getting so old, they're dying. I was being taught to service Le Cultura Atmos clocks, the clocks that literally wind themselves from barometric pressure differentials, from a gentleman who died. And outside of Dave, who's very busy, unreasonably busy, the man has more work than he knows what to do with. He's the only person in that shop right now that knows how to service those clocks. Now, maybe that's changed,
wow.
But when Jerry passed, Jerry was the last in the area that was like a certified Le Cultura Atmos service specialist. That was all that he ever did. He only serviced Le Cultura Atmos clocks. They're beautiful. Dave gifted me one. It's actually funny. It's still at the clock shop because I need to put new glass in it. It functions great, but I need to put new glass in it. By the way, that's like a multi-$1,000 gift. To give you an idea, those clocks are very expensive, even today.
They are collectors.
So instead of having 15, 20, 30 clock shops in the area, now there's one. Their lead time last I was in there was 6 to 9 months. You brought them a clock, in 6 to 9 months, that's when it'll be ready. The only reason it takes that long, people. And the amount of you that are out there listening or watching to this show that could likely find a clockmaker or a horologist in your area, go to their shop when you get a chance. Old clocks are basically engineering pornography. It is.
Oh, it straight up.
It is. There's no better way to describe it than awe-inspiring. The way that certain things were done, not just to look pretty, but to be functional, where this form follows function, then function follows form, then a little bit of in between. I've worked on clocks from the 1500s. Like, where there are blacksmith hammer marks because that's what the blacksmiths did. They improvised, they adapted, they overcame. They looked at how they could go from making horseshoes to now making tower clocks. Now, yes, eventually that was replaced by stamping out wheels, otherwise known as gears. It went from weights hanging on a chain that had the ticking and talking motion of a pendulum was what had those weights slowly drop to a big spring. These are like huge, like 6 foot, 7 foot pieces of spring steel wound up into a tiny little coil. That's where your power came from on clocks. So you no longer had to deal with the weights. But now that we've moved over to digital clocks, the people that still do it collect. How did I end up in there? Literally, I can grab a mechanical clock. I didn't wind it today. I could grab a mechanical clock. This is a Baby Ben by West Clocks. It is an alarm clock, so it's got time, strike, all of that, and it's beautiful. It ticks. It's lovely. It sounds great. I like the aesthetic of it, and it's all original. It's beautiful. This is actually a gift. This is not mine, technically. This is Amber's. This was a gift from somebody at the clock shop to Amber. What's really cool, the entire back, that's the bell.
That's amazing.
That's the bell. That's the thing that makes noise. There's a hammer that knocks on the back side of the case, and you can see it wiggles because it's somewhat free, because that's the bell that resonates. It's pretty cool. This is a, I think it's a 72-hour movement. It literally has a loud and a soft button. Just changes how far back it pulls the hammer to hit the clock. Like, and I keep it on top of my computer. The same way that I keep my first repair ticket from Boyd Clocks, because I believe it is important for us to remember the history of where we came from. Will Boyd Clocks continue to exist once Dave gets to the age of passing? Maybe, maybe not. Will there be newer generations that fill in those voids? Maybe, maybe not. What happens is that they will go online and you'll find these people that want to keep it all alive for the future and for, you know, for the good of the future. And it either works or it doesn't. I worry that media is the next thing to go. We're already seeing Sora and these other like movie AIs getting to the point where
good now.
You should never trust, ever trust anything that you see about any politician ever anymore. If you see videos of politicians,
do not trust any video. It doesn't even need to be a politician. I just don't trust video anymore.
It's going to get so. I am waiting for the first, like, video framing somebody for like a murder. That is very, like, you look at this video and it's them. But
we've
it's a
had
deep
the
fake.
opposite. We've had the opposite. I'm not sure you know about this. Somebody made an AI video of a deceased guy. I think it was like a car traffic accident, and the guy died, and he was being sued. Like the family
yeah. So he could tell his own story in court.
They made an AI of the guy. So the guy said, "I would forgive the other people," and the court accepted it.
That to me is where we start to blur the line between good and evil. And unfortunately, good and evil in this day and age is very difficult to determine. Like, the only thing that I start to trust these days is when I see something and then I see multiple different camera angles of it. Even that is still difficult to trust. But it will get to the point where it is possible to blur the line between real and fake. And while I recognize that
MLV's just put in the chat, apparently I'm wrong. Thank God. I'm glad to be wrong.
Oh, they gave the max sentence.
Good. Apparently they might have given the max sentence. Fuck that. I'm saying that now. I don't care that we have a don't swear that much. Screw you and anyone else who wants to make an AI of a dead guy and then do it to try and get out of getting sued. Screw you.
Yeah, bad news bears, and we will see more of it.
You want to see unethical? That's unethical.
We need to look at getting politicians all over, not just in the US, but all over, that are educated enough, lawyers that are educated enough to present this in a way that we can get real things done, right? As the powers around us change the world, we have to be willing to accept the fact that a lot of it could not be true.
Do you want to go on another slight tangent?
We have been going for 3.5 hours. It is up to you.
Well, it could end quite soon.
Okay, let's do it.
And it's borderline political.
All right.
But I think most governments are going to end when AI gets good enough to make informed decisions of grand scale. Because AI don't get bought out. While they get made to be biased in a certain way, there is nothing stopping something like a Ghost in the Shell AI overlords or psychopaths, where it's fully automated industrial government.
What? So,
like, why would you want to vote on people who lie, who don't follow through, who aren't smart? They don't have the full picture. Or an AI that is so smart they know every implication of every choice they make.
But then, so here's the fun part is you have to validate that they're not politically biased.
Would they care?
Depends
look at the current government systems around the world, not saying a certain colour, but people will vote for anything if it's presented in the right way. Would you actually care? Even if actually, let's say it now. Your current government versus a bad but trying to do the best AI.
There's
see the cogs turning. There's so much nuance in that question.
There is, because there's not enough barriers on the AI. Because that brings us closer and closer to the HAL 9000. Right? Yep. Like that, I'm sorry, but I can't let you do that, right? Like, I think I think I've made it somewhat clear before, but I tend to be closer to Ron Swanson politically than most any other politics, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm not going to discuss it much further than that. I believe that people can make their own damn decisions. I believe taxes can be levied for things that matter, but put them to things that matter. But I also sit here and say that I don't like my taxes going to things that don't matter. Now, what I want versus what other people want, don't know. Could we have a program go through the entire book of the government, right, here in the States, and look at financially auditing, having an AI that is a forensic accountant that can financially audit and figure out how the government has such a ridiculous deficit every single year? Take a look at our adversaries versus our allies and look at what type of military spending do we need? How do we, maintain superiority in different areas and not risk losing that? Do we need all of this money? And how do we stop corporations from taking advantage of government contracts? That's where I see AI being valuable. But I do think ultimately, I do kind of, maybe, again, this is the old school part of me, I still kind of want regular people making the decisions. While I would love them to be kind of fact-checked by AI and allow them to ask a certifiably politically neutral AI how this will impact people that agree with them and how people disagree with them. That, to me, would just be incredibly valuable. But unfortunately, I think that politics, especially here in the US, have become so fundamentally self-absorbed on the us versus them, right? Whether, like, what side of the barrier are you on for protests? You're just angry at the other people, when in reality, you all might agree with each other way more than you think. I firmly believe that we stop a lot of the political violence that we have right now and the problems that we have by just talking across the aisle. But if people are unwilling to do it, if AI is the answer to solve that for us and a way to get them to understand how it affects constituents on the other side of the aisle and gets them to think like actual human beings rather than F you because you don't agree with me, then I'm all for it. But I do want some sort of like, maybe we should step back just a second and review this before we enact it into law. I still want human oversight. And while humans are inherently problematic, we make mistakes. We do things simply because we don't like other people. We are petty. We get angry. We are emotional. I do believe that there is some value to that the current level of AI doesn't have. Because feeling is, well, as far as it goes in the United States at least, feeling is like 9/10 of the law at this point.
Yep.
And so
I'm glad I asked you that question now, though, because it's something like I do think a lot of people haven't considered yet, and I like those mind games where it's the, hey, what if we took this topic and we just pushed it into the limelight just a little bit?
I think the problem that we have, at least in the United States, I'm sure this is issues elsewhere. I want to go in and fire every single government employee, everybody, every Congress member, every senator.
You know what I thought
and I
was going to happen with Doge?
And I want them to reapply for their jobs.
I thought Elon Musk was actually going to try and put his AI as the oversight for Doge, and I'm surprised he didn't.
I don't hold your breath. That is a little too political for me to dig into, but something that I learned early on in business from a very, very, very successful business owner is that every now and then fire yourself from your job.
Oh, I like that. I really like that.
Look at what, if you were to hire that job out, what would be needed to do that job? If you cannot provide everything that job needs anymore, either you're not the right person to do it, or you need to split it up. That's what delegation is. Delegation is literally looking at your job duties and saying, this is not the best use of my time. But the way that it was described to me is fire yourself. Because if you stick under the same title and just keep promoting yourself year after year after year, you end up as the owner of a business, as the person that runs the entire operation, not knowing what happens below you. And if you don't know that, how can you fundamentally make the right decisions that move your company in the right direction?
I'm so glad you've said that. Like, the amount of times I've been told by investors, by colleagues, that you want to be hiring people to replace you at all times.
Yes.
You want to hire somebody to remove aspects of your job, which is a good thing. Also feeds into the fact that you are doing less. You are removing yourself from your own business because that is what you want.
Yeah.
But it's also the poison that makes you into one of those giant corporations that doesn't know what it's doing at all.
The best example of this I can give is Dustin at Printed Solid. Dave Randolph hired Dustin to be the general manager. I have never met someone, well, okay, you don't often meet people. I can't say never because that's only Siths use absolutes. But Dustin cares about Printed Solid as if it was his company. And so to be the person that handles the problems that are not owner level problems or president level problems is amazing. Like if you had someone, if you business owners out there had someone that could field first level issues and that you wouldn't even hear about them. You might get, a weekly, this is, these are the things that I handled for you, right? These are the things that are no longer on your plate. And eventually you just trust them to do it because inherently they're making you more efficient. And again, if that efficiency is you get more time to go do the things that you've been missing while you've been building your business, good. Go do it. Go take a vacation. Go out, see the world. Go take a day off. Go spend all day in bed because you want to, because you know you have the right people to handle it for you. I don't believe an AI will ever be able to do that. And I will state here that I will never have an AI do that for 3D Musketeers. I believe that is a very personal thing. And it's why, as the owner of the business, I still am the only one that answers the phone. If you call 3D Musketeers, I am the person that answers the call every single time. Nobody else on the staff even have access to the phone system. I am the only one that has it. Not because I want control of the company, but because I believe that humans are the thing that make us different. And the amount of people that I talk to and say, wow, thank you for taking the time to talk to me about this. Thank you for educating me. And I wish more of them would leave Google reviews about this, makes it worth my time. Because if we can bring in people and educate them, even if we're not taking their money, even if we're just educating them, we've done our job. Is that the most capitalistic thing for me to do? Hell no. Most capitalistic thing to do is say, take your money. But I do it because I want people to have a personalized, real-world experience. That's what I want. And I don't believe that AI, as it currently stands, is capable. And I'm not certain that the future will get it to that point. I think we will see hyper-specialization before we see hyper-generalization. But I could be wrong.
We should definitely do a follow-up in like a year. Just every time like we say like we will never do this, just do follow-ups. Just be like, well, we were so wrong, it aged like milk. Or it could be we were so right, it aged like wine.
Yeah. Winslow
nice
Joy's bringing up a point. He said, a small issue with the firing, everyone make them reapply. Those who can leave will leave. And those are the staff who know how things work. Yep. But that means there weren't systems in place to keep them from leaving. See, if they liked their job so much... See, really, the goal there is to make sure that someone has not just been elected or promoted into a position that they are fundamentally unqualified for. Making certain that people continue to do continuing education. We have an entire program within our company that we support continuing education for our staff. As long as it's reasonable price, I'm not going to pay for you to go back to college. We're not doing that. I can't afford that.
Would you pay for going to college overseas where it's cheaper?
I won't pay for you to live overseas. Absolutely not. But like...
No. Just the college tuition from overseas.
I don't know what it costs. But
something like 400, 500 quid a year.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I tell the staff, look, if you find classes that you want to take that you believe can help you do a better job, that's beneficial for us. And that should not be on your own time. That should be on company time. And in fact, the company should pay for the class and pay for your hours to take the class. I believe in that.
In all fairness, that is such a really nice attitude to take, because concurrent education is literally what makes companies grow and become smarter and keep up to date with these bloody troubling times.
Yeah.
Like, if you aren't learning, you aren't growing. And as the technology changes, you got to learn to use the new technology or you're falling behind. So it's a really nice, admirable thing to really do.
A lot of us,
to offer that.
We find ourselves so stuck in the day-to-day that we can't step out and look at where are we deficient. How can I, as an individual, how can each individual on our team be better, right? Like, how can we do that? That's why, to bring it all the way around, from one of the first things I said, we don't hire based on hard skills. We hire based on soft skills, because you can learn all the hard skills you want. At a certain point in your life, you're kind of done learning soft skills. Once you have a fundamental way of interacting with others, that doesn't change, right? Today, Father's Day being an important one, because my father has taught me that the one thing you can't teach people is how to give a damn. If they don't give a damn, they never will. There is nothing you can do to change it. But the ones that give a damn, they can learn anything. They can learn anything in the world, given the time, the tools, the knowledge, and the right people to help them get there. And it's why we hire on soft skills. And it's why, as a company, we have incredibly low turnover. And the turnover that we do have is because they're getting poached by Sony. We've had 3 staff members poached by Sony Entertainment. Don't know why. Don't know why it keeps happening. But it happens. And while I recognize there are certain skills and trades that require the hard skills, right? Like, if you're going to be a professional engineer, you need the PE validation. Fine. I'm still going to hire you based on your soft skills.
Yep.
I don't look for the, like, we're looking at, like, some concrete for an upcoming project. I'm not hiring a concrete company based on their hard skills. I'm not hiring them based on who's the cheapest. I'm hiring based on who I like working with the most. Because the ones that I like working with the most, we're going to have a great time. We're going to enjoy ourselves. And if I'm lucky, they let me run the machinery.
Ooh,
And Grant likes playing with heavy machinery. Matt, guess Sony or Disney. We have had one get poached by Disney, but technically it wasn't a poach. Disney took a very long time to get back to him. He didn't think that he was going to get the job with Disney, so he applied with us. Lo and behold, Disney got back to him a couple of weeks after we hired him, made him an offer, and he now just does both, which is fine. Yeah. But yeah, Sony has poached 3 of our staff. And I'm fine with that. That's the turnover we have. And then interns and people that only hang out in the summer. But, like, I believe that AI might change that for some companies, especially those ones that are struggling. Like, not to say that we're in a phenomenal place financially. We're not $1 million business yet. We're not a $10 million business. But I'm okay with slower growth if we have the right people to get there. Because inevitably, when AI starts to show its weaknesses, we won't have those weaknesses. And we'll be able to plow ahead, while companies that have focused on AI will fall behind, trying to fix it retroactively.
We are both in very good positions to capitalize on the benefits and drawbacks of AI. And just additive in general is in that same position. So anyone who's watching this stream, you are probably in quite a good position for future-proof safety, at least for the short term.
It's funny, we have one person on our our marketing team who is incredibly anti-AI, like very, 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 like, to the point of where I'm like, hey, tone it down just a hair. Like, this is not an attack at you personally, right? They're very anti-AI. And we have some staff that are very pro-AI. And so it's fun to hear both sides of that, hear the good versus the bad, and be able to make a decision of saying, we can use it here, but we can't use it here. We can use it for things that will streamline what we're working on, but we're not going to use it for anything innovative. I think that's cool. I like that. That's why it's good to allow people to have opinions. As far as AI and 3D printing, I mean, literally, we don't know. We don't know where the future is going.
Super early days. But if my thought pattern is right, I think it's going to be a very good, bright future for the industry. A very good future. It's going to democratize the learning. It's going to simplify the slicing. And I legitimately think it's going to help the engineering.
The simplifying the slicing. Oh my God. That alone.
That is the one bit that is the most complex bit of all of 3D printing, is how to slice effectively.
It's why I tell people to send us 3MF files, so I can see if they did something wrong. And then what we always do is we send them back a modified 3MF that we use, like, from our settings and things that I've done. Man, I
Yep.
being able to say, yeah, before we take a look at it, let's run it through Just Print. And while that's doing its thing, let me take a look at it and see if we come up with the same things.
Hey, that could be a video idea. You trying out Just Print.
I know it'd be cool if they sponsored it, but we'll see.
It's a free open source project.
Is it? Okay, I don't, again, literally no knowledge on this. If it's free open source, fine.
I'm pretty sure it's free open source.
I didn't even click the link that you put in. Because
it's a GitHub link.
I know. I didn't want to click because I didn't want to start reading about it and change my opinion and my reactions as we're doing the video. I will read into it after the show, but for the show, I wanted my reaction to be as real, valid, and poignant as possible. I think that's important to our viewers, that I can be as real as humanly possible.
And I've just confirmed it is open source.
Fine. If you guys want to see that, let us know in the chat, in the comments, whatever. We will look at doing a video where that would be such a cool Print Fix Friday, but I'd have to kind of force print failures.
Well, print and see what failures appear, and then go back and do a cycle, because it's not going to be perfect. It's early days.
Oh, and say, okay, what would Grant do versus what did Just Print do?
Yep. What did you notice versus what did you type into it for it to give you a response? Because also, what you type in will color the output of what it thinks it needs to do.
And that's why I think for a video like that, it would have to be the most basic. It failed. I don't know what happened. This looks droopy. Right? So, like, there's no support material. So if I'm a newbie, I'm not going to know what support material is. It looks droopy. That's a totally real thing for someone to say if they didn't turn on support material.
Yep. I think that would be a neat video.
I'll have to add that one to the video ideas list. I do like it. I think that's cool. If it does require some sort of like active camera watching the print, that's a little rough, but it doesn't appear that it does it?
No.
Okay.
No. It's only on the slicer.
Yeah. When you look at like the ability for a newbie to come in and use a program like that,
it's basically a hand holding little clippy with Grant's face pasted on it. That's what it is.
My God.
There we go.
What if we worked with them and we did like a Grant edition? That would be very funny.
That would be fun.
It would be like, you'd have to enter the contra code and it would bring up a menu of like, do you want the Grant edition? That would be very funny. Like some sort of Easter egg in there. Like,
we could have little faces for different people. So we could have you, which gives actual advice. We could have me, that's just, I should have bought a different machine. We could have Joseph Prusa, who's just constantly saying just live adjust Z and nothing else.
Or no, it would be like if you put a model into it that's like a pre-supported resin print, it just comes up with resin is toxic. That'd be pretty great.
That would be fun.
That would. All right. If
also,
anyone
you should
has,
definitely watch the there's a once in a six slide video where they put resin printed supports on a
it works. It works pretty well, print,
and it works pretty good.
Yeah, I mean there should be no reason that it doesn't. You just have to have really, really well tuned in retraction settings, because you're gonna be doing a lot of tiny retractions. If anyone has connections to the Spaghetti Detective or Just Print, please make that connection. I don't think that we have any connections with either of them currently, but I would really like to. I think that'd be a fun, especially with, that would be a really fun, it's like 208 for Print Fix Friday is supposed to be I read mean comments and reply to them. But that might be a cooler 208 to celebrate 4 years of Print Fix Friday. We do an integration
possibly with the tool that will get rid of Print Fix Friday.
Yeah, and I could call it The End ? Oh, it's a good title. God, those are clickbaity, but they're so good. That would be a cool way to celebrate 4 years. And then we just do the Grant Reads Mean Comments for 200. That would be, and that gives us a couple of months to actually like film
work
it.
on it, use it,
Yeah.
get some vibes.
If someone has a connection, I'd love it, because I think that would be really cool way. And certainly if we could like somehow utilize all the data from Print Fix Friday to help train it, that'd be so cool. Like a PFF mode.
That would actually be a really nice integration, is all the data you've captured with every Print Fix Friday.
Because I'm not always right,
and then
but
feeding it back in.
By and large, I'm pretty there, right? There are times where I don't know, but Duff said, damn, that's like a 12-hour mean comments video. It's not going to be short. It's not going to be short. But yeah, I think I'm very anti-AI because I worry about what happens to jobs in that regard. But this Just Print Spaghetti Detective thing,
Pretty neat.
that to me is
Pretty
like
neat.
where I really like AI. There are some things regarding AI that I really wish I could talk about, but I am under an NDA.
Literally the same. I have both.
Well, mine's YouTube. Mine's a YouTube related NDA, but
well, mine I think would get me taken out back and shot if I started saying certain things. Good old
Not
defense
mine.
contractors.
Yeah,
And then the other side is I have this little voice of Joel, who is my IP lawyer, going, Jacob, shut the fuck up. Stop talking. Stop it. Don't say that. Don't go down that route.
I am looking forward to real, proper implementations of AI. Those that use it to remove paid and skilled labor, shame on you. But those of you that use it to buff and add to the skilled labor that you possess and be able to fill in gaps as you look to hire different skilled labor, A+. A+.
All I'm going to say is Doug earlier in the chat mentioned that Construct 2, our upcoming printer, it has capability to load local AI models onto the machine.
Is it going to have a large enough processor to do anything with it?
Let me get it.
No, stop. I believe we're getting to the point where I need to kill Jacob's.
No, you don't.
I can literally, it's one click and you're gone.
It's fine. I promise Joe will not hate me for this.
Okay. Oh, you're using a little microcomputer.
It's $2,500. This can plug into our 3D printer natively, drop-in solution, and you can run very powerful local AI models on concurrent camera streams, LLMs, the whole thing locally.
And this is why you support businesses that do stuff like this, because if you want it, you can, and if you don't need it. And there's so much opportunity out there for those that want to do it, but it will obviously be a very business class machine. So, Jacob, any final thoughts before we call this one, end the recordings and give away some filament?
I'd say if your job, you're feeling like you're threatened by AI, try to take a step back. You have to detach your emotions from the fact your job is being threatened, because it is being threatened. But your union, your company, your friends cannot stop Pandora's box from being opened because it's already open.
Right.
You either have to learn the new technology and see where do you fit into it, or start contingencies, because the last thing I want to see is people in a really tough situation because the technology moved on and the brakes were put on because it felt wrong. At the end of the day, you still have to feed yourself. And as the technology gets better, it's up to you, the user, to learn how to use the tool, at least until it then replaces us all and takes over Terminator style.
We welcome our AI overlords. Please don't hurt us.
Hey, at least they'll be more efficient when they kill us.
That's fair. Unless they bring on the pissed off Cuban lady mode, which is just torture you until you die. I don't know.
No.
But yeah, we'd love to know your thoughts regarding AI in general, AI with 3D printing. Does the term AI piss you off like it does me? We'd love to know all of that. down in those comments, in the chat, wherever it might be. Remember, if you do want to come hang out with us after the show, you can do so by joining at the $10 tier and higher via Patreon, PayPal, or YouTube channel members. Links, of course, in that description as well. Check out the merch. Go check out construct-3d.com to get the UK's fastest 3D printer, the first bamboo printer on the market. And literally, you heard it during this episode of the level of actual effing safety they put into it. There's a reason for the price. It's worth it. And a huge thank you goes to our filament sponsor, Printed Solid, who, as soon as we stop recording, we will be giving away some filament to our live viewers. Remember, you can check us out at roughly noon or so, pretty much every Sunday Eastern, right here live on YouTube. But if you are listening back audio only, rate us 5 stars or whatever the hell the platforms do. Reviews help this stuff grow, help us get in sponsors. Remember, this is our final call. We are hiring editors. There is a $500 bounty/finder's fee for those that want to refer someone to us. We'd greatly appreciate the assistance. If you've listened this far and you're like, I think I could do that, maybe it's time to go ahead and send us an email. But
the worst that can happen is we say, ooh.
I mean, you're going to get an interview. So you've got that going for you, which is nice. But make sure to check the description for how to send us an email. That is all that we have for you all today on episode 231 of the Making Awesome podcast, all about AI and how it could potentially change 3D printing forever. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones, especially today. It's Father's Day. Call your dad if you haven't. And if you can't, our condolences. And as always, keep making awesome. Have a good one. Okay. We are no longer recording. Woo!
You're
John,
still recording your stream, though, right?
no.
Or have you stopped all of them?
Yeah, I stopped all of them.
Oh,
Why would we want to keep the after show for cutting it down?
I don't know. Funny meme?
Nah. No need. John M. saying, can you answer my emails? I am behind on giving away the filament. It is a fully manual process, which is a pain in the butt. So I am quite far behind. So those of you that have emailed, sent DMs and all that, I have it all. I just have to get to it. It takes a long time. Each person takes me at least 10 minutes to do the giveaway for. So as you can tell, it's quite a few hours of my day, time that I'm currently
Now,
very thin on.
we do have a question. This started really high up at the start of the stream, and I've saved it.
I see that.
From
Yes, you can.
a Chad Cindery. Can you double it and send it on?
Well, it's Chad Kreider saying, hey, Grant.
Oh,
That's fine.
I copy pasted it badly.
I see that. Yes, so we will give away an extra. We'll give away an extra spool. We'll give away 2 this week, for Chad. Let's give away another one.
Cool guy, Chad.
Yeah, if you
What
guys
Chad
if you
name?
guys don't for some reason want the filament and you want the name to go back out, you can say that, but you must be present to win. If you are not present, you do not win. So, just waiting for Wheel of Names to come up. All right.
Wheel of Names.
Yup. Do some shuffling here. 64 names. Yep. 64 names.
Almost at funny number.
Tell me he's here. I don't think he's won this month. Jimmy, I hope you're here. I really hope you're here.
Jimmy has been here so many times.
I know.
Please be here, Jimmy.
But I hope Jimmy's
Jimmy.
here because that means Jimmy gets a shirt. Because Jimmy is in Sweden.
Jimmy. Jimmy.
Come on, Jimmy. He got it right. So
Please don't have left. It is like 10 p.m. over there as well.
is he taggable?
He is
He's taggable.
He's
He's got it. Let's go. All right. So that does count as one. It does count as one. But it's not a roll of filament. It is literally, instead of Printed Solid giving money, it's me giving money. Because I got to pay for the shirt. But that's okay. Jimmy won. And then let's see.
You
Who
definitely can't tell we have
else?
favorites of who might get it versus not.
Well, we've met Jimmy. It's different when you've met people.
Exactly.
It's like, oh no, I know, because we know he would have been heartbroken had he won and he wasn't here, right? And we would have been heartbroken for him, you know. If I know you in the real world, right? Like I feel for you, you know. Um, and then Cybertech, XYBER Tech, if they're here.
I'm not getting a tag.
No, I got a tag.
C,
Cybertech.
C what? Oh, X. I
XY.
thought we said C.
No, XYBER. So we'll see if they're here.
There he is.
They're here? All right.
Congratulations.
Sweet. Send me a DM on Discord and we'll get you the filament. Sweet. MLV says, so I need to meet Jacob and Grant is what you're saying. Hey, we love to meet anybody that we can whenever we can, right? We love meeting fans. We love hanging out with people. I mean, and Jimmy will corroborate this story. How many, was it like 3 or 4 hours that we were hanging out after Bond Tech, just in the hotel, just chatting? We just did it because it was fun. It was great.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was lovely.
We'd love to spend time with fans. And then
our community is awesome, and we love spending time with
are
awesome people.
If you make it this far in the videos, you qualify as awesome, right? Yeah, something like that. Jimmy said, yeah, Jimmy, you didn't get home until like crazy late at night. I still feel bad about that it took you so long to get home. But he enjoyed it, so you know what? Fine. Good enough.
It was good. It was really good.
It was. And any time that we get to have like just really interesting conversations, man, the conversations make it all better, in my opinion. They really do.
Oh, it really does.
Christopher Elliott's asking if you're going to make it to Printopia. We don't know. We don't know. There's no guarantee.
It is unlikely.
Jacob has his own business to run too. And that's the tough part is traveling across oceans is very, very expensive. So
it really is.
Yeah.
It's such a time cost as well. It
is.
Hey, if you want to buy Construct 2 or Construct 1 XLs and I need to deliver it personally, I will make that happen. But I need to justify the reason I'm going.
If they pay for it.
Oh, no, I'm not giving it for free.
No. I mean, if they pay to fly you with the machine.
Depends on how many they buy.
That's fair.
I might throw it in.
Yeah. Buy 10 Construct 2s and he'll come out.
I'll even give you a little signed little piece of paper.
A certificate of authenticity. It's a 2-man carry, Jacob. Don't forget that.
That is actually true.
Oh, Doug. True. And that's why he brings me in the United States.
You've got a bad back.
Yeah.
Our insurance would not allow you to carry the printers ever.
How heavy is it?
The light one, which is just the standard C1 XL, is 32 kilos.
Well, that's fine. That's nothing. That's like 70 pounds.
Yeah. And you got a bad back.
My backpack weighs almost that much when we travel, Jacob.
The C2 is like 41 kilos at the moment.
Oh, that's not that bad. I mean, it is still a 2-person carry, but I could easily... Yeah, there's Doug. Grant's the foreman. He has the clipboard. I have the management degrees. I'll use my management degrees. I'll have the clipboard.
Look at you.
But... yeah, guys, we're going to go send you to go hang out with Mr. Steve Builds. He is working on stream 4 of converting his Mark IV's to the Core 1. Let's go hang out. We're going to go raid Steve. And thank you all for hanging out. And thank you to all those that donated.
It's been a long one today, so thank you.
Yeah, this is our longest stream to date.
This is the longest, yeah. A little over 4. It's saying it's only 4. It's 3 hours, 55 minutes for me. Am I just wrong?
I don't know. There might have been some lost time when we went down. I don't know. We've been on for over 4 hours though. So
Yes, we have.
we'll see you guys in the Discord if you all are there. If you do want to get there, $10 tier higher, Patreon, PayPal, YouTube channel members. That's the last time I'm going to say it. See you later. Have fun at Steve's.